Chapter 26, You have already embarked on the path to death. The answer was obvious. Ning checked the background of that official who proposed the motion again. He had been transferred to Nanjong from Beidawang Base City 3 years ago and had remained obscure until he was suddenly promoted half a year ago. He became much better off financially and even bought a house for his son in Beidawang. Ning closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Beidawang. Li Yifeng. You have already embarked on the path to death. It was rare for Ning to feel a surge of anger. But he did not lose his reason and went over all the information in his mind. In the end, it was he who had implicated Zhao Tishan. Since Li Yifeng couldn't find any flaws in him, he targeted those around him. An expired conscription order, a manipulated vote, an old team transferred away, it was that simple and that ruthless. Aren't you trying to lure me out? I will grant your wish. He opened his communication watch and sent a message to Zhou Zhengyuan. Open black lens bracket chairman, I will handle the matter in the north, close black lens bracket. Zhou Zhengyuan's reply came quickly. Open black lens bracket, be careful, it is not peaceful over there, close black lens bracket. Ning checked his equipment. He put on the black god suit. The 48 blades of the arc blade disc were silently suspended in the system space. The cloud-caressing vine was still in slumber, but even while sleeping, its vines could automatically protect its master when sensing danger. That was enough. 400 kilometers north of Nanjong Base City, Iron Camel Mountain. The ground was charred black. The rocks were shattered. The air was filled with the smell of blood and the stench of monster corpses. A few elementary beast soldiers were scavenging for leftovers in the ruins. Seeing Ning, they tucked their tails and ran away. Ning did not rush in but first circled the periphery. According to the information on the conscription order, this encirclement battle involved about 30 general-level martial artists and 200 warrior-level martial artists, targeting that Lord-class iron-backed golden-crowned eagle and its beast general-level guards. The battle was brutal. The iron-backed golden-crowned eagle was repelled, but the martial artists had paid a huge price. Ning found several corpses on the battlefield that hadn't been collected yet, but none were Zhao Tishan. He continued walking deeper, fully unleashing his psychic power to scan every inch of land. Finally, in a pile of rocks in a valley, he found the person he was looking for. Zhao Tishan was lying on his side in the gap between two large boulders, half his body a bloody mess. His left arm was severed at the shoulder. His right leg had also been crushed by something, with only a few bones remaining connected. His face was covered in blood and dirt, his breathing so weak it was almost imperceptible. But he was still alive. He was just hanging on by a thread. Ning quickly knelt down, took a life potion from his backpack, inserted the needle into Zhao Tishan's carotid artery, and slowly injected the potion. The effect of the potion was immediate. A hint of color returned to Zhao Tishan's pale face, and his breathing became more stable, but he remained unconscious. Old Captain, I've come to bring you home. Just then, Ning's psychic power captured several approaching life signals. 3. Very fast, and very strong. However, Ning was not panicked. He was waiting for them. 3 people walked out from the other side of the valley. Walking at the front was a young man. He was 25 or 26 years old, slender, fair-faced, and wore a silver-white combat suit, with the War God Palace badge on his chest shining in the sun. Li Yifeng. His pace was unhurried. A faint, elusive smile hung on the corners of his mouth, like a cat toying with a mouse trapped in its paws. A classic villain image. This leisurely stroll, this sense of relaxation from someone who thought they controlled the situation, made Ning feel extremely disgusted for no reason. 2 people followed behind Li Yifeng. One tall, one short, both wearing black combat suits, expressionless, with cold gazes, standing in a very calculated formation. One was to the front left. One was to the rear right. They perfectly blocked all angles of attack against Li Yifeng while being able to respond to threats from any direction. War God level, both of them, but they were only junior war gods. Such a configuration was top-tier combat power in any base city. And now, they were just Li Yifeng's bodyguards. Ning, counselor of Nanjong Base City. Li Yifeng looked down from above and said calmly, "Parents died early, no support, married 3 wives, an elementary school teacher, the daughter of a retired martial artist, and a useless psyker master you picked up. Tisk, with this setup, you deserve to be called a counselor." He scrutinized Yan Ning, looking him up and down. Senior warrior general martial artist. Intermediate general psyker master. Honestly, I'm a bit disappointed. You, of all people, managed to solve the Area K-17 ruins. You must have been incredibly lucky. Yan Ning watched him continue his performance. He had already started mobilizing his flying knives in secret. Li Yifeng tilted his head, as if remembering something, and suddenly laughed. "Right, that old thing behind you, Zhao Tishan, right. Intermediate general, his foundation damaged, with half a foot in the grave, yet he still wants to shine and give heat. Tisk, tisk, trash like this, he should just die. You actually made a special trip to save him. You're really easy to fool, just like the old guy. Do you know how he got injured? He was pushed to the front. Someone told him that for the sake of Azure, he needed to hold off the iron-backed golden-crowned eagle, and he believed it. Old things like this are so easy to fool." Yan Ning's anger gradually rose in his heart. Taking pleasure in fooling a sincere heart, damn him. Li Yifeng seemed to enjoy this feeling of a cat playing with a mouse. He leisurely adjusted his cuffs, revealing the silver-gray inner armor inside, a good thing that even those at war god level couldn't enjoy. It was enough to immunize against all physical impacts below the war god level. Priceless. Yan Ning, do you know why I came? You took my things. The Area K-17 ruins, I discovered them first, I targeted them first. You, a piece of trash who retired due to illness, what right do you have to pick up this bargain? Li Yifeng's voice grew louder and sharper. The things I, Li Yifeng, set my eyes on, no one has ever dared to touch. What are you? A piece of trash with no background, no backing, whose very wife was picked up off the street, how dare you compete with me? Yan Ning still did not speak. The silver flying knives vanished into the air, ready to deliver a fatal blow at any moment. Yan Ning had no interest in Li Yifeng's desire to perform. Or rather, a dying person wasn't worth wasting much time on. But Yan Ning still spoke, it wouldn't be bad to tease him. Are you, Li Yifeng, some kind of respectable thing? The air froze for a moment. The smile on Li Yifeng's face completely disappeared, replaced by a hideousness of extreme rage. Good, very good. Yan Ning drew a silver-white combat blade from his waist, the edge gleaming in the sun. A9 grade alloy combat blade. Priceless, sharp enough to cut a hair. Then I'll use your head. And the fate of your family after you die, to let everyone see what happens when you provoke me, Li Yifeng. You, that pregnant little girl of yours, I heard she's about to give birth. Tisk, tisk, a widow raising a child, how will she get by? As for that useless psyker master. Li Yifeng licked his lips, a flash of perverted excitement in his eyes. Don't worry, I will make you die very slowly, so slowly that you will clearly hear the sound of that old thing behind you taking his last breath. Chapter 27, Instant Kill, Fighting 2 Gods of War Alone. Enough. The distance is sufficient. Yan Ning flashed and moved. Simultaneously, Li Yifeng drew his blade and lunged forward, the sonic boom vibrating through the air. Li Yifeng was extremely fast, possessing the strength of a peak senior warrior general, nearing the god of war level. Coupled with his top-tier armor and A9 combat blade, even an average junior war god would struggle against him. He had absolute confidence in his own strength, so much so that he did not even let the 2 gods of war behind him make a move. With a flash, the blade edge had already slashed to the front of Yan Ning. Behind him, the 2 gods of war stared intently at this scene, their psychic power and gene origin energy simultaneously locking onto Yan Ning, sealing off all his possible evasion routes and counterattack angles. In their view, Yan Ning was already a dead man. The next second, a silver light flashed. There was no warning. 48 arc blade disc blades appeared silently. Li Yifeng did not even react to what had happened. His blade was still held in midair, half a meter away from Yan Ning's neck. That cruel smile hung on his face, and the excitement of imminent success still lingered in his eyes. Then, A streak of silver light pierced through his brow and exited from the back of his head. The second streak of silver light severed his carotid artery. The third, fourth, fifth. All 48 blades passed through his body almost simultaneously, from head to toe, from front to back. Each one precisely found the gaps in his armor, slicing through his skin, muscles, blood vessels, and bones. Blood had not yet splattered out. The blades had already passed through. Li Yifeng's body froze in place, maintaining his posture of raising the blade. His eyes were wide open, with the bewilderment of the last moment still lingering within them. He did not understand what had happened, did not understand why he would die, and did not understand how an intermediate general could possibly kill him. Then, Li Yifeng's body, like a building with its steel reinforcement removed, began to collapse from the middle. Blood and internal organs gushed out from the dense wounds, splattering all over the ground. His head rolled onto the ground. The expression on his face froze at the final second. He did not even have time to touch the corner of Yan Ning's clothes. Li Yifeng harmed innocent martial artists and sacrificed the lives of over 100 martial artists for his own selfish gain. He deserves to die. The air froze for a full 3 seconds. Young Master. The tall junior war god was the first to react, letting out a heart-wrenching roar. His eyes instantly became bloodshot. The gene origin energy in his body surged wildly, and the gravel on the ground was shaken and scattered in all directions. Yan Ning, you dare to kill the young master. His voice was trembling, whether from fear or anger. You are murdering a core member of the War God Palace. This is a capital offense. A capital offense punishable by the execution of your entire family. The short intermediate war god was calmer than him. But his face was also terrifyingly pale. He stared fixedly at the silver blades that had just been retracted, cold sweat seeping from his forehead. Surrender. Come back with us to the War God Palace to face trial. If you cooperate, perhaps you can still save the lives of your family members. Save my family. Yan Ning tilted his head, looking at these two people. Li Yifeng harmed innocent martial artists and sacrificed over 100 martial artists for his own selfish gain. What should be done about that? What do you understand? The tall war god roared furiously. Those martial artists died for a worthy cause. Everything is for Azure, for the organization. Sacrifice is necessary. What does it have to do with young Master Li? It has nothing to do with him. His orders, his schemes, his blade, none of that matters. That is because their own lives are cheap. The tall war god's face flushed red. A bunch of war general level trash. Dying is just dying. Can they compare to young Master Li? Young Master Li is the only son of a planetary-level martial artist and a core seed of the War God Palace. What kind of thing are you? A trash who retired due to illness, and you are fit to convict young Master Li? The short war god did not speak. But his face became increasingly pale. He knew that the most important thing now was to take Yan Ning back. Alive is best, but dead will do too. As long as there is an explanation, the Li family might be able to spare their lives. The communication watch had been recording all along. And this recording was their only life-saving talisman. Yan Ning. The short war god took a deep breath, suppressing all emotions. I will say this one last time, surrender and come back with us. If you resist. He did not finish his sentence, but the meaning was obvious. Yan Ning looked at him, thinking of those who died as cannon fodder, whose children were they, whose fathers, and whose husbands. But these people just died like this, because of Li Yifeng's selfish desire. Yan Ning opened his mouth, as if murmuring to himself, and said, Then for the sake of the tens of millions of people in Azure in the future, I will have to trouble you two to make a sacrifice. The short war god's pupil suddenly contracted. Do it. The two gods of war erupted simultaneously. The tall war god drew the alloy battle axe from his back and roared, pouncing towards Yan Ning. His speed was extremely fast. The battle axe was imbued with violent gene origin energy, tearing through the air and slashing with a shrill whistle. The short war god cut in from the side, a slender piercing sword thrusting silently towards the back of Yan Ning's neck. His attack was more sinister than his companions'. The angle was tricky, and the speed was faster. One in front and one behind. One overt and one covert. This was their killing move after years of cooperation. They had once joined forces to kill an intermediate Lord-class monster. But Yan Ning did not even move. The black god suit activated automatically, and an invisible force field covered the surface of his body. The tall war god's battle axe slashed onto his shoulder. The force field dissipated 90% of the power, and the remaining force only caused his body to sway slightly. As for the short war god's piercing sword, it did not pierce in at all. Yan Ning backhanded a punch into the tall war god's chest. 100,000 kilograms of punching force slammed solidly onto his armor. The tall war god flew backward like a cannonball, smashing into the rock wall more than 10 meters away, causing gravel to collapse in a clatter. At the same time, the arc blade disc blades flew out again. Converging into a silver torrent, they headed straight for the short war god. The short war god's expression changed drastically, his piercing sword waving wildly in an attempt to block the lightning-fast blades, but his speed was too slow. 3 blades passed through the gaps in his piercing sword. Blood gushed out. The short war god let out a muffled groan, kneeling on one knee, his face as pale as paper. He looked down at his mutilated body, then looked up at Yan Ning, his eyes filled with disbelief. You are not a war general." Yan Ning paid no attention. He had to finish this quickly. Yan Ning used his psychic power to control both the blades and his own body simultaneously, multitasking. 48 blades circled in the air. And his own fist, carrying 100,000 kilograms of punching force, smashed towards the tall war god who had just broken free from the rock wall. 10 rounds. From the beginning of the battle to the end, it was a total of 10 rounds. The tall war god's battle axe was knocked away, his armor was shattered, and at least 4 bones in his chest were broken. He collapsed on the ground, a large amount of blood gushing from his mouth, his eyes unfocused. The short war god's limbs were severed by the blades, blood flowing all over the ground. Yan Ning stood in the center of the battlefield, his breathing steady, without even a single wound on his body. The efficacy of the spirit of plants and trees and dragon blood, in cooperation with the black god suit and the arc blade disc, was brought to the extreme. For the first time, he truly felt. Junior war god level opponents were no longer enough to challenge him. Chapter 28. Can you withstand it? Too weak, Yan Ning said softly. It was unclear if he was talking about those 2 gods of war or his former self. Yan Ning walked over to the short god of war, crouched down, and glanced at the communication watch on his wrist. The recording function was still running, its red indicator light blinking. He spoke a sentence into the lens. Li Yifeng, you trespassed into a restricted area, explored an alien ruin without authorization, triggered a beast horde riot, and caused the deaths of 137 martial artists. Today, you abused your power to frame innocent martial artists like Zhao Tishan, leaving them critically injured and on the verge of death. With both human and physical evidence present, my killing of him is reasonable and legal. As for these 2, they obstructed justice, shielded a criminal, and attempted to silence witnesses. They also deserve death. After saying this, Yan Ning stood up and stopped looking at the 2 men. Behind him, the short god of war used his last ounce of strength to let out a hoarse growl. You will regret this. The Li family will not let you go. The war god palace will not let you go. Yan Ning did not even turn his head. He hoisted the still unconscious Zhao Tishan onto his back and walked toward Nanzhong. The setting sun stretched his shadow long, like a blade thrust into the earth. Behind him, 3 corpses lay quietly in the ruins, letting the twilight swallow them. The communication watch's recording function was still running, the red light blinking, faithfully recording everything. Then, the image froze. 3 seconds later, the signal was cut off. Far away in the council hall of Nanzhong Base City, Zhou Zhengyuan stared at the screen that had suddenly gone black, remaining silent for a long time. The secretary beside him asked with a trembling voice, "Chairman, what should we do?" Zhou Zhengyuan did not answer. He simply stood up slowly, walked to the window, and gazed at the northern sky. "The weather is about to change," he said in a low voice. Zhao Tishan was in critical condition. Yan Ning had no intention of hunting monsters and hurriedly sped back home. As for the words he had just spoken, they were intentionally meant for Zhou Zhengyuan to hear. It was true that he had taken the initiative to clear the ruins. But if Nanjong Base City wanted to stay out of it, that was not an option. Li Yifeng was from Beidawang, but that conscription order had been passed by the Nanjong Council Hall, and Zhao Tishan was a martial artist of Nanjong. In this matter, Nanjong could not shirk its responsibility. If Zhou Zhengyuan could not handle it, then he could use this opportunity to draw a clear line. The world was vast, could it be that there was no place for him, Yan Ning? With his current strength, he could go to any base city and receive better treatment than a council member. If he could handle it, Yan Ning would not mind providing a reward afterward. He was a person who remembered both grudges and kindness. Even taking a step back, the combat power he had displayed today was enough to stir up a storm. In just over a year, leaping from a junior war general to a junior war god, while also being a psyker master, such a record was something many of those high and mighty existences in the war god palace could not even hope to match. Given more time, growing to the planetary stage was not impossible. Li Yifeng, he was indeed a genius. With the potential of a planetary stage martial artist, the talent of an advanced war god psyker master, possessing 2 top-tier aptitudes, and having parents with immense power. But no matter how much of a genius he was, talent was merely a possibility until it was fully realized. And now, that possibility had been snuffed out by Yan Ning's own hand. While traveling, Yan Ning silently calculated the coming situation in his heart. Would Nanjong Base City bow its head to Beidawang Base City and join in settling scores with him, Yan Ning? Or would Nanjong Base City draw its sword against Beidawang to protect him? The result was not important to Yan Ning. It really didn't matter. Yan Ning felt it in his heart. The cloud-caressing vine was on the verge of awakening. The stellar stage and the planetary stage were completely incomparable. After digesting the life essence of a peak stellar stage cloud-caressing vine, no matter what, he would be able to reach the planetary stage. Even if it were only the first level of the planetary level, given the current strength of human martial artists on Azure, it was far inferior. To say something discouraging, the humans of Azure currently belong to an uncivilized race. How could they compare to the cloud-caressing vine? Therefore, as long as the gap wasn't a full major realm, the cloud-caressing vine was enough to protect Yan Ning's safety. Not to mention, among all the human martial artists on the entire Azure Star, the number of planetary-level powerhouses could be counted on 2 hands. Just looking at this point alone, Yan Ning was already in an invincible position. The pressure applied today was just for the sake of an explanation. Or rather, Nanjong Base City was, after all, the place where Yan Ning had lived for 10 years, the place where he had married, had children, and awakened his system. His home, his roots, and his feelings were here. If he didn't have to leave, Yan Ning really didn't want to leave. For now, let's first pull the old captain back from the edge of death. Yan Ning quickened his pace, his figure like a streak of light sweeping across the wasteland. After today's commotion, things should be able to quiet down a bit, right? His figure disappeared on the horizon, quickly buried by the wind and sand. Nanjong Base City, Council Hall. On the screen in front of Zhou Zhengyuan, the last frame was frozen, Yan Ning turning to leave with Zhao Tishan on his back. With 3 corpses lying in pools of blood behind him. He had watched this recording 7 times. Every time, it shocked him. It wasn't shock at Yan Ning's ruthlessness. It was shock at his strength. 2 gods of war, completely wiped out within 10 rounds. And Yan Ning himself didn't even have a single wound on his body. Even if they were only junior war gods. They weren't just any Tom, Dick, or Harry. A junior war god was still a god of war. The kind that stood above 10,000 people, beneath only one. Zhou Zhengyuan turned off the screen. He leaned back in his chair, closed his eyes, and remained silent for a long time. It wasn't that he didn't know about Li Yifeng's petty actions. When that conscription order was being voted on in the council hall, he had been busy dealing with the situation on the western defense line. By the time he found out, the proposal had already passed. He had investigated afterward, and the official who proposed it was quickly transferred from their post, but Zhao Tishan had already been sent to the front line. All he could do was have the medical team prioritize searching for Zhao Tishan's whereabouts. But after the encirclement battle ended, only 23 corpses and a dozen severely injured people were recovered from the battlefield, and Zhao Tishan's name had been on the missing list for 3 days. If Yan Ning hadn't gone to look for him personally, Zhao Tishan would already be a corpse by now. Chairman, message from Beidawang. What message? Li Yifeng's mother, Azure Elder Li Qingyu, demands that we provide the complete file of Nanjong Base City Council member Yan Ning, and demands that the council hall provide an explanation for Li Yifeng's death. Zhou Zhengyuan was silent for a moment. Then he slowly opened his eyes. Tell them that the Nanjong Base City Council Hall is conducting an internal investigation. Once the results are out, we will officially notify the War God Palace. Before that, no relevant information will be leaked. The secretary hesitated. Chairman, replying like this, will it not anger them? Zhou Zhengyuan stood up, walked to the window, gazed at the northern sky, and said leisurely. Anger them. Li Yifeng violated the Iron Law first, trespassing in a restricted area, exploring an alien ruin without authorization, triggering a beast horde riot, and causing the deaths of 137 martial artists. This time, he abused his power to frame innocent martial artists. Which of these matters, if brought to the table, could the Li family withstand? Chapter 29, Stellar Stage Secret Technique, 9 Ink Fall Blades. Nanjong Base City has endured enough these past few years. The secretary nodded, said nothing more, and quietly retreated. Zhou Zhengyuan stood by the window, his mind caught in a fierce internal struggle for a long time. He knew that Nanjong Base City alone could not withstand the pressure from the Li family. Li Qingyu was a planetary-level powerhouse, an Azure Elder, and ranked 7th in the War God Palace. Her husband, Li Chongshan, was an advanced War God Psyker Master and also a top-tier combatant. The Li family had operated in the North Great Wilderness for decades, with deeply entrenched influence that he, as a mere Base City Council chairman, could not oppose. But Yan Ning, this young man was worth a gamble. In just over a year, he had gone from a medically discharged martial artist to a junior war god, while also cultivating as a psyker master. He held an unknown divine weapon and had beheaded 2 war gods in 10 rounds. Such a growth speed was unprecedented in the entire history of Azure Star. Give him a few more years, and perhaps planetary stage. Or even higher. Besides, he was, after all, one of Nanjong Base City's own. His parents had also sacrificed themselves on the front lines. If they retreated now, then Nanjong Base City would have to retreat every step of the way in the future. Their own people had suffered enough grievances, truly enough. Zhou Zhengyuan took a deep breath. He walked to the communication console and used his council chairman authority to connect to an encrypted channel. Help me contact Commander Qin. Just tell him that old man Zhou has urgent matters to discuss. Nanjong Base City First Hospital. The status of a council member was very useful here. Without needing to wait in line, Zhao Tishan was pushed directly into the operating room. 2 hours later, the lead surgeon walked out. His vital signs have stabilized, but the damage to his left arm and right leg is too severe. With current medical technology, they cannot be restored. If you want to restore limb function, you need to use the water of life. That stuff is very expensive and requires special approval from the War God Palace. Yan Ning nodded. I will find a way regarding the water of life. Just keep him alive for now, we'll talk about the rest later. After settling Zhao Tishan down, Yan Ning returned home. Zhao Zixuan was sitting on the sofa, twisting the hem of her clothes with her fingers. The moment she saw Yan Ning, her eyes turned red again. My dad, he's fine now. He has been saved and is recuperating in the hospital. Later, we just need to use the water of life to reattach his limbs. The water of life, isn't that very expensive? Yan Ning said in a relaxed tone. Don't worry about it, it's just a matter of a dozen or so Lord-level monsters. He said it lightly, but Zhao Zixuan knew that Lord-level monsters corresponded to War God-level martial artists. In the past, Yan Ning would have had no choice but to run away upon seeing a Lord-class monster. But now, since Brother Ning dared to say that, it meant he had the strength to do it. Is he really okay? Zhao Zixuan looked up, gazing at him with tear-blurred eyes. Really? The most important thing for you now is to rest comfortably during your pregnancy. Once you've recovered, you can go see Dad. Leave everything else to me." Zhao Zixuan leaned on his shoulder, finally feeling at ease. Shen Yao came out of the inner room holding their daughter. Su Wanqing followed behind her. Neither of them asked any more questions, just quietly watching this scene. Su Wanqing suddenly spoke, "By the way, I'm pregnant, about a month along." The living room went quiet for a moment. "That's good news, take good care of yourself." Yan Ning's expression brightened with joy. Su Wanqing nodded, the corners of her mouth curling up slightly. 3 wives, one had already given birth, one was about to give birth, and one had just conceived. The task of 5 children a year was progressing much faster than expected. Must keep having more. ... A month and a half later. Li Yifeng's death caused a huge uproar in the outside world. Over in Beidawang Base City, the news was strictly sealed, but the truth cannot be hidden. On the martial artist forum, various versions of rumors were flying everywhere. Some said Li Yifeng was killed by monsters in the wild, while others said he had violated the iron laws and was secretly executed. But those truly in the know all knew that the person who killed him was named Yan Ning, a newly appointed council member of Nanjing Base City, who just over a year ago was still a medically discharged junior war general. Public opinion split into 2 factions. One faction believed that Yan Ning was incredibly audacious, daring to kill the only son of a core member of the War God Palace, which was simply courting death. The other faction believed that Li Yifeng deserved to die. Any one of the terrible things he had done in the North Great Wilderness over the years would be enough to get him executed 10 times over. But for Yan Ning, who lived in the council member villa area, this clamor was very far away from him. No matter how great the Li family's influence was, it could not reach into the core area of Nanjing Base City. The security level here was the highest. Without the approval of the council hall, no one could enter. Life went on as usual. And Zhao Zixuan finally completed her delivery a month and a half later. The nurse poked her head out and said with a smile, "Congratulations, it's a big, chubby boy, weighing 7 jin and 8 liang. Both mother and child are safe." Yan Ning walked into the ward, looking at the baby in the swaddling clothes. The little guy's skin wasn't wrinkled like his sister's was when she was born. It was fair and tender. His eyes were big and bright. His cry was loud and clear. "His name is Yan Yang, the Yang, for sunshine," Yan Ning said. Zhao Zixuan smiled weakly, reaching out to touch her son's face. Just then, a prompt from the system sounded in Yan Ning's mind. "Open black lens bracket congratulations to the host for the birth of an offspring. Potential has broken the upper limit, setting a new record. Obtained lottery chance times 1 close black lens bracket." Yan Ning's breathing paused slightly. Setting a new record. Zhao Zixuan had the genetic talent of an apprentice level 6. His son with Zhao Zixuan would have a genetic potential starting at least war general level, and might even be able to touch the threshold of war god level. Then, wouldn't the offspring born to Su Wanqing, after being baptized by dragon blood and the millennium wood and grass spirit, be on an even higher level? Planetary stage was not impossible either. "I'm going to the restroom." Yan Ning handed his son to Zhao Zixuan and turned to walk into the adjacent restroom. Closing the door, he took a deep breath and silently recited, "Lottery." The panel expanded. "Open black lens bracket items close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket techniques close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket equipment close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket others close black lens bracket." 3 seconds later, the pointer stopped at open black lens bracket techniques close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket congratulations to the host for obtaining stellar stage secret technique, 9 ink fall blades, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket description close black lens bracket. A top-tier stellar stage blade secret technique of the Yunmo planet lineage, consisting of 9 forms. This secret technique has been optimized by the system, significantly lowering the entry threshold. It does not require innate talent, diligent practice allows for gradual mastery. It is beginner-friendly and suitable for the current host to cultivate. 9 ink fall blades. Stellar stage secret technique. Yan Ning's current melee methods mainly relied on the brute force of a war god. Although he had the arc blade disc, a powerful long-range weapon, his methods were still too monotonous during close-quarters combat. And the 9 ink fall blades would perfectly fill this shortcoming. It doesn't require innate talent, diligent practice is enough to succeed. This is simply tailor-made for me. Martial artists can finally truly catch up in a real sense. Dual cultivation as both a martial artist and a psyker master is the answer for the future. He stored the secret technique into the system space and walked out of the restroom. He silently recited in his heart, "Praise the restroom, praise the fool." Returning to the ward, Zhao Zixuan had fallen asleep, and their son was lying in the crib beside her, his little hands clenched into fists, sleeping soundly. Yan Ning sat by the bed for a while, looking at the two of them, big and small, feeling very secure in his heart. No matter how the outside world changed, this home was his bottom line. Chapter 30, Inspector's Decision. Azure Star, War God Palace Headquarters. A top-level joint meeting of high-ranking officials was being held. The circular conference table could accommodate over 100 people. Everyone present was among the most powerful people on Azure Star. The counselors of the 25 base cities, the core gods of war of the War God Palace, and the 6 inspectors who stood at the peak of humanity. There were 2 themes for the meeting. The ostensible topic was the threat of monsters in recent years. According to the latest data, in the past 3 years, the number of Lord-level monsters has increased by 37%, and 2 new King-level monsters have appeared. The bespectacled counselor projected a chart onto the holographic screen, the red curve trending steadily upward. In the same period, the number of new war god-level powerhouses among humans only increased by 21%, and the gap is constantly widening. The venue fell silent for a moment. Following this trend, within 10 years, the high-end combat power of monsters will exceed that of humans by more than 16%. By then, our defense lines will face unprecedented pressure, and human habitats may be further compressed. The atmosphere became heavy. One of the inspectors sitting at the head of the table asked, "So, what is the solution?" The bespectacled counselor continued, "Increase the birth rate and optimize the efficiency of genetic legacy. Specific measures include increasing subsidies for families with multiple children by 50%, providing better reproductive conditions for holders of excellent genes, simplifying the marriage registration process for martial artists, and increasing the reproductive quota for some excellent martial artists." The meeting entered a substantive discussion phase. Counselors from various base cities spoke one after another, some supported, some opposed, and some bargained. In the end, the proposal was passed. Increasing reproductive subsidies, improving the reproductive environment, and increasing reward amounts for 4 or 5 children, with the Federation providing the bottom line. But everyone knew that this was only the ostensible topic. The hidden one was the real highlight of the day. After the ostensible topic was discussed, the venue quieted down. Everyone's eyes turned simultaneously to the 2 people at the end of the conference table, Li Qingyu and Li Chongshan. Li Qingyu was an Azure Star veteran, a planetary-level powerhouse, and ranked 7th in the War God Palace. Her husband, Li Chongshan, was an advanced War God Psyker master and also a top-tier combatant. The 2 sat there, expressionless. But the pressure around them was terrifyingly low. Next topic. Regarding the matter of Nanjong Base City Councilor Yan Ning killing Li Yifang, please have the relevant parties state their case. Li Qingyu stood up. Her voice was calm, but everyone could feel the rage surging beneath that calmness. Everyone. My son, Li Yifang, was murdered a month and a half ago at Tituo Mountain in the north of Nanjong Base City. The murderer is Nanjong Base City Councilor Yan Ning. Without any legal authorization, Yan Ning privately executed the immediate family member of a core member of the War God Palace. This is a blatant provocation against the authority of the War God Palace and a trampling on the laws of Azure Star. I propose stripping Nanjong Base City Councilor Yan Ning of his councilor status, cancelling his War God Palace reserve qualification, and handing him over to the War God Palace Tribunal to be dealt with according to the law. The venue was silent for a few seconds. Then, Zhou Zhengyuan also stood up. I have a different opinion. Regarding Li Yifeng's death, I have the complete on-site recording. If you are willing to watch, I can play it right now. Li Qingyu's expression changed slightly. Zhou Zhengyuan did not wait for her response and projected the recording directly onto the holographic screen. In the footage, Li Yifeng appeared with two gods of war, his words arrogant and his attitude vile. He personally admitted to the conscription order, personally uttered those vicious threats regarding Yan Ning's wife, Zhao Tishan's injuries and the martial artists who had been harmed. Every sentence, every word, was crystal clear. Of course, this was only a small part of his wrongdoing. After the recording finished, the venue fell into a deathly silence. Everyone has seen it. Li Yifeng violated the Iron Law first, trespassing into a restricted area, unauthorized exploration of alien ruins, triggering a beast herd riot, and causing the deaths of 137 martial artists. Afterward, he abused his power for personal gain, forged the conscription order, and framed the innocent martial artist Zhao Tishan, leaving him critically injured and near death. Yan Ning killed him while exercising the right and duty that every martial artist on Azure Star possesses to exterminate vermin. If we must hold someone accountable, I would like to ask, regarding Li Yifeng's actions over these years, is the Li family really completely unaware? Li Qingyu's face was livid. But she couldn't say a word for a moment. The recording was too clear, every word of Li Yifeng's was recorded in full. In the face of ironclad facts, any defense was pale. It was true that her Li family possessed overwhelming power. But they were not the heavens. Li Chongshan stood up and took over the conversation. Counselor Zhou, my son's behavior indeed had improprieties, but Yan Ning, a counselor, what right does he have to execute him privately? Even if my son was wrong, he should have been judged by the War God Palace, not killed on the spot by a counselor. He turned to the 6 inspectors at the head of the table. Your Excellencies, inspectors. We request to strip Yan Ning of his counselor status and cancel his War God Palace reserve. Qualification. This is our only demand. The venue fell silent again. Everyone could hear the subtext in these words. They didn't demand his life, nor did they demand a trial, they only demanded the stripping of Yan Ning's official status. Why? Because as long as Yan Ning lacked the protection of his counselor status and the halo of his War God Palace reserve qualification, they could solve this matter in their own way. A martial artist without official status was no different from an ant in front of the Li family. Zhou Zhengyuan's expression changed. He, of course, heard this layer of meaning. But before he could speak, several counselors began to chime in. The Li family's demand is reasonable. The counselor of Beidawang Base City was the first to express his stance. Although Yan Ning's actions had a legitimate reason, there was indeed a procedural problem. A counselor has no power to execute anyone privately. Seconded. Stripping his status is a necessary punishment. Otherwise, if everyone can take matters into their own hands in the future, what meaning does the law have? Seconded. Seconded. More and more people seconded. Zhou Zhengyuan's expression grew darker. These people's agreement was not because Yan Ning was truly wrong, but because they did not want to offend the Li family. A planetary-level powerhouse. An Azure Star veteran, in the political landscape of Azure Star, their weight far exceeded that of a newly promoted counselor. I object. Yan Ning's actions had no issues. He was only trying to stop Li Yifeng from continuing to do evil. If someone like this is to be stripped of their status, then who will dare to stand up in the future? No one replied. Those who seconded were already in the majority. Zhou Zhengyuan's objection appeared isolated and thin. Li Qingyu's lips curled slightly, and she looked toward the head of the table. Zhou Zhengyuan also turned his gaze toward the head of the table. Please, inspectors, make the decision. Everyone's eyes were focused on those 6 people. The 6 inspectors were the existences second only to the strongest on Azure Star, Hong. Each one was a standout among planetary levels, and each one possessed the power to influence the landscape of Azure Star. Their decision was the final decision. The silence lasted for a long time. Then, the person sitting in the very center spoke. Qin Mufeng, Inspector Qin, a planetary level 5 powerhouse, the head of the 6 inspectors. Do not mention this matter again. Chapter 31, Cloud Caressing Vine Awakens, Hunting Beast Lords. As the voice fell, the venue was deathly silent. Li Qingyu's face turned pale instantly. Li Yifeng violated the Iron Law first by trespassing into restricted areas and exploring alien ruins without authorization. Each of these counts as a capital crime. Yan Ning killing him was exercising the rights and obligations that every Azure martial artist possesses. This is written in Article 137 of the Azure Charter, and no one is allowed to violate it. As for Yan Ning's status as a council member and his reserve qualification for the War God Palace, not only should they not be stripped, but he should also be commended instead. A martial artist who can break through from a junior war general to a junior war god in over a year, a martial artist who dares to stand up to uphold the Iron Law, is the person Azure truly needs. Inspector Qin, Li Chongshan's voice sounded a bit anxious. I have finished speaking. Qin Mufeng did not look at him, his gaze sweeping over everyone present. Does anyone else have an objection? An invisible pressure spread out, causing the air to stagnate. No one spoke. Li Qingyu gritted her teeth, her face livid. Li Chongshan clenched his fists, his knuckles turning white. But they both knew that once Qin Mufeng spoke, there was no room for negotiation on this matter. The decision of the head of the 6 inspectors could not be overturned by anyone on Azure Star. Then the meeting is adjourned. Qin Mufeng stood up and walked out of the venue without looking back. Outside the venue, Li Qingyu and Li Chongshan stood side by side, both of their faces looking very grim. Why did Qin Mufeng protect him? The anger in Li Qingyu's eyes was almost overflowing. I don't know. But since he has spoken, we cannot act openly. If we can't act openly, then we will act in the shadows. He is just a junior war god, there will always be a time when he is alone. Li Chongshan remained silent, and nodded. The two turned and left, their backs disappearing at the end of the corridor. The pain of losing a son, this account would be settled. After Inspector Qin spoke, all the turmoil was forcibly suppressed. No matter how powerful the Li family was, they were not more powerful than the gun in Inspector Qin's hand. Moreover, after those words, the Li family did not dare to make any moves. As of now, with Hong not appearing, Inspector Qin was the sky of Azure. Therefore, the Li family softened their stance very quickly and even publicly apologized in person, which could be considered going all out in terms of showmanship, not daring to show even the slightest disobedience. At least, they would hibernate for now. Then wait for an opportunity to act. 1 month later, Yan Ning stood in the training room, holding an alloy saber in his hand, with a faint halo of origin energy condensing on the blade. He closed his eyes, his body slightly leaning forward, maintaining the posture of a strike. He hadn't moved for a full hour. He was waiting for that faint, elusive flash of inspiration. 9 Inkfall blades, a stellar stage secret technique. Even after being optimized by the system and claiming to have significantly lowered the entry threshold, the stellar stage was still the stellar stage. It wasn't something that could be glossed over by the word crash course. Over this past month, Yan Ning spent 6 hours every day on the saber technique, practicing the starting moves, the blade movements, and the finishing stances of the 9 styles no less than 10,000 times. The movements were already engraved in his muscle memory. But he was still far from truly mastering it. It wasn't just about the proficiency of the movements. The key lay in the comprehension of saber intent. The first style, breaking flow. The blade breaks the water flow, its intent is not to cut the water, but to sever the momentum of the flow. What is required is not brute force, but the capture of the momentum. Yan Ning knew that this kind of comprehension could not be rushed. He also didn't intend to work behind closed doors. Saber techniques ultimately need to see blood. No matter how well one practices in the training room, it is not as profound as chopping off a real head on the battlefield. Suddenly, his heart jumped violently. A palpitation came from the depths of his soul. Cloud-caressing vine. Yan Ning opened his eyes abruptly, his consciousness sinking into the system space. That emerald green cocoon, which had been sleeping for nearly 2 months, was trembling violently. The golden patterns on the surface were flowing endlessly as if they had come alive, the light growing brighter and more intense. The entire cocoon seemed to have been ignited from within, and intense emerald green flames erupted from the cracks. Crack, a crisp cracking sound. The cocoon shattered. A brand new cloud-caressing vine stretched out from the fragments. Its size had shrunk quite a bit compared to before it slept. It had shrunk from the size of a small car to the size of a washbasin, but Yan Ning could feel that its energy density had increased by countless times. Just like a piece of steel that had been repeatedly forged. The volume became smaller, but the texture became more dense and tougher. Cloud caressing, Yan Ning called out with his mind. The vines danced happily, like a puppy that had just woken up, wrapping around Yan Ning's arm and rubbing against it affectionately. A clear thought was transmitted. Master, I have broken through. Planetary stage. Yan Ning's heart jumped violently. Planetary stage. On the entire Azure Star, the strongest of human martial artists were only at the planetary stage. And now, he possessed a planetary stage combat lifeform. But before Yan Ning could even be happy, the cloud-caressing vine sent the next thought, carrying a grievance-filled emotion. Master, I'm so hungry, I'm starving to death, I need a large amount of nutrients. Yan Ning couldn't help but laugh. Hungry. Of course, it was hungry. It had absorbed the life essence of a peak stellar stage cloud-caressing vine, soaring all the way from the apprentice stage to the planetary stage. It would be strange if it weren't hungry. Don't worry, I'll go out and find food for you in the next couple of days. There are so many beast lords outside, enough for you to eat your fill. The cloud-caressing vines danced even more happily, beginning to sway. By the way, I happen to be going out to practice my saber as well, Yan Ning said with a sharp gaze. Saber techniques must see blood to have a deeper realization. Just as Yan Ning was preparing to pack his things, his communication watch vibrated. A message from Zhou Zhengyuan. Open black lens bracket little friend Yan, you still need to be careful recently. Although Inspector Qin has spoken, no one can guess the Li family's intentions. As long as you are alive, they won't dare to act openly. But if something happens to you, even if the Li family is uprooted afterwards, it won't bring your life back. Remember, don't let your guard down at any time. Close black lens bracket. After reading it, Yan Ning replied. Open black lens bracket understood, thank you for the reminder, council member. Close black lens bracket. The message had just been sent when Zhou Zhengyuan sent another one. Open black lens bracket. By the way, if you need combat training, you can consider going to Kunlun Base City. That is the territory guarded by Inspector Qin, and the North Great Wilderness cannot reach that far. Moreover, the density and strength of monsters there are higher than in Nanjong, which is suitable for honing yourself. I have already greeted them there, you can just look for the people at the council hall when you get there. Close black lens bracket. Yan Ning's eyes lit up. Kunlun Base City, Inspector Qin's territory. With that planetary-level powerhouse sitting there, even if the Li family had guts the size of the sky, they wouldn't dare to make a move there. Furthermore, there were more and stronger monsters there, which was perfect for the cloud-caressing vine to feed and for him to hone his saber technique. Multiple benefits in one go. Open black lens bracket. Many thanks, council member. Great kindness needs no thanks. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Just come back alive. Close black lens bracket. Yan Ning put away his communication watch and began to arrange matters at home. Shen Yao was with her daughter. Zhao Zixuan had just finished her postpartum confinement. Su Wanqing was over a month pregnant. 3 women, 1 child, and Zhao Tishan, who was still in a coma in the hospital. Yan Ning hired 2 professional caregivers and asked Zhao Meng, Sun Haoran, Lin Shaowen, and others to help look after them. After everything was arranged properly, Yan Ning shouldered his pack and left Nanjong Base City. The Li family coming to my door. The cloud-caressing vine has already broken through to the planetary stage. As long as I don't court death, I can really go anywhere on Azure. Yan Ning naturally made full preparations. Soon, his figure disappeared beyond the horizon. Chapter 32, Lord. Piece of cake. Kunlun Base City, located in the west of Azure Star, sits on the edge of the Kunlun Mountains. Tectonic movements have caused massive changes to this land. The once desert and Gobi have now turned into lush primeval forests. Towering trees rise from the ruins. Vines cover the collapsed skyscrapers, the remains of the steel forest have been swallowed by green life. But beneath this vibrant green, deadly dangers lurk. The density of monsters around Kunlun Base City is more than 3 times that of Nanjong Base City. The number of Lord-level monsters is 5 times that of Nanjong. This is a truly high-risk area. It is also a proving ground for true powerhouses. Arranged by Zhou Zhengyuan, Yan Ning managed to enter the peripheral area smoothly without alerting anyone. Yan Ning himself did not intend to deal with the local councillors. Low profile. This was the principle Yan Ning set for himself. He didn't know what other dirty tricks the Li family had up their sleeves, but on Inspector Qin's turf, keeping a low profile was always the right choice. The primeval forest on the periphery blocks out the sky and sun. Sunlight only sprinkles mottled spots of light through the gaps in the leaves. The air is mixed with various odors, which is very unpleasant. Yan Ning had barely stepped into the dense forest for less than 200 meters when a black shadow swooped down from the canopy overhead. An advanced beast soldier level, iron-clawed ape. Its speed was astonishing, its claws brought a shrill whistle that tore through the air, heading straight for Yan Ning's crown. Yan Ning didn't even lift his head. The blades of the arc blade disc moved without wind, a silver light flew from his sleeve, penetrating the iron-clawed ape's brow and exiting through the back of its head. The local monsters aren't very polite. Why the sneak attack as soon as I arrive? Yan Ning squatted down and skillfully stripped the materials with a dagger. The sharp claws of the iron-clawed ape are good materials for making glove-type weapons. A complete pair of sharp claws has a market price between 150,000 and 200,000 federal credits. On the black god suit. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine poke their heads out from the collar, like a small emerald green snake, reaching toward the corpse of the iron-clawed ape. As soon as the vines touched the corpse, that still warm body shriveled up at a speed visible to the naked eye, its life essence sucked dry by the cloud-caressing vine, leaving only a pile of gray-white withered bones and cracked skin. Not enough, not enough. The cloud-caressing vine sent a thought, carrying a restless dissatisfaction. Too little, not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. Master, I want more. More. Yan Ning patted it. Don't be impatient, this is just the beginning, today you'll have enough. By the way, cloud-caressing vine. Leave the valuable parts for me. Crystal nuclei, sharp claws, fangs, scales, don't swallow the things that can be sold. The life essence is yours, the materials are mine. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine nodded, as if agreeing. Then, Yan Ning stood up, his gaze sweeping across the dark dense forest ahead, the corners of his mouth curling up. Keep killing, killing, killing. He stepped into the depths of the dense forest. Starting from the periphery of Kunlun Base City, Yan Ning began a crazy harvest. Beast soldier level, 1 strike. He didn't even need to use his blade, the arc blade disc flew out, and it was over before even a scream could be heard. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine followed closely behind, sucking the corpses into dried husks, leaving only piles of withered bones. Beast general level, a little more effort, but still just a matter of 1 strike. He didn't even need the arc blade disc. Yan Ning hadn't fully mastered the first form of the 9 ink fall blades, breaking flow, but it was more than enough to deal with beast. General level, the blade cut into the scales, severing the bones. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine would wrap around the corpse the moment Yan Ning withdrew his blade, sucking the life essence dry. As for the Lord class, that was the main event today. Yan Ning's attention was always focused on the auras deeper inside. Lord class. Only Lord class monsters can hone blade techniques. On the 3rd day of entering the Kunlun Mountains, he finally encountered a real big guy. Iron-armored earth dragon, body length over 15 meters, covered in iron-black scales, each scale the size of a palm and several inches thick. It was coiled in a valley. The surrounding rocks were baked hot by its body temperature. Lord class, initial stage. Yan Ning stood above the valley, his psychic power sweeping over this behemoth, quickly estimating its value in his heart. Iron-armored earth dragon, B-level lord. The scales are top-tier materials for making A8 level and above armor. A complete set of scales can sell for at least 200 million federal credits. It has 4 fangs, each half a meter long, extremely hard, and excellent materials for making combat blades. A single one is estimated at 20 million, so 4 would be 80 million. The crystal nucleus contains vast energy, with a market price of at least 150 million. The heart blood can also strengthen physique, estimated at 80 million per portion. Its tendons, bones, tail spikes, eyeballs, and other miscellaneous materials add up to another 50 or 60 million. This one is at least 600 million. B-level lord, it really is valuable. Yan Ning licked his lips. But Yan Ning didn't rush to make a move, instead, he observed the surrounding environment first. After confirming there were no other Lord-class monsters nearby, he drew his alloy combat blade from his back. Open black lens bracket 9 ink fall blades breaking flow close black lens bracket. He was going to use this iron-armored earth dragon to test his blade. The iron-armored earth dragon seemed to sense the threat, its huge head lifted, and its turbid yellow eyes looked toward the top of the valley. It let out a low roar, the sound waves causing gravel to rattle down from the hillside. Yan Ning moved. His figure was like a stream of light, swooping down from above the valley. The iron-armored earth dragon's reaction was extremely fast, its thick tail swept over, carrying a shrill whistle that tore through the air. The power of this tail was at least over 100 tons, enough to smash a tank into scrap metal. Yan Ning did a side flip in midair. He narrowly avoided the sweep of the tail. He tapped on the rock wall, borrowed the force to change direction, and instantly closed in on the neck of the iron-armored earth dragon. The combat blade left its sheath. A thin layer of silver halo condensed on the blade's edge. It landed in the gap between the third and fourth scales on the neck of the iron-armored earth dragon. Breaking flow. This strike didn't cut flesh or bone, but momentum. The iron-armored earth dragon's momentum of turning its head, the momentum of its roar, the momentum of its counterattack, all were cut off by this one strike. The blade cut into the gap between the scales and sank into the neck without any resistance. Yan Ning twisted his wrist. The blade edge opened a half-meter-long cut on the iron-armored earth dragon's carotid artery. Blood gushed out wildly. The iron-armored earth dragon let out an earth-shattering scream, its huge body struggling crazily, its tail and limbs thrashing about, smashing the surrounding rocks to pieces. But Yan Ning had already retreated dozens of meters away, coldly watching this giant beast make its final death struggle. 30 seconds later, the iron-armored earth dragon collapsed with a bang, twitching a few times before it stopped struggling. Iron-armored earth dragon, B-level lord, dead. Yan Ning sheathed his blade and walked forward. The cloud-caressing vine was already impatient to poke its head out from his collar, its vines wrapping around the corpse of the iron-armored earth dragon. Yan Ning hurriedly pressed it down. Wait, let me strip the materials first. It took nearly an hour to strip all the valuable materials from the iron-armored earth dragon. Scales 200 million, fangs 80 million, crystal nucleus 150 million, heart blood 80 million, miscellaneous 50 million. Yan Ning calculated while packing. This one, 560 million. Plus the materials from the beast soldiers and beast generals killed before, this trip is already close to 700 million. Yan Ning patted his bulging backpack with satisfaction. Then he nodded to the cloud-caressing vine. All right, eat up. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine instantly wrapped around the corpse of the iron-armored earth dragon. That huge body shriveled up at a speed visible to the naked eye. A minute or two later, the cloud-caressing vine let out a satisfied burp, the golden patterns on its vines glowing a bit brighter, sending a message of satisfaction. Master, delicious. More. Yan Ning smiled. Let's go, next one. Chapter 33, Astonishing Harvest, Making a Big Stir. Fourth day. Yan Ning met a golden-haired ape king. This golden-haired ape was a full circle larger than the one he had encountered before. Its entire body of golden hair stood up like steel needles, its eyes were blood red, and standing in the dense forest, it looked like a small golden mountain. Lord class, intermediate. A-grade lord. Roughly equivalent to an intermediate war god. Yan Ning's psychic power swept over it, and he quickly estimated in his heart that the value of the golden-haired ape king was at least 3 times that of the iron-armored earth dragon. The golden-haired ape king also discovered him. Its roar was deafening. It pounded its chest with both fists, emitting a dull, thunderous roar. Then it moved. Its massive body possessed astonishing speed that didn't match its size. It leapt over dozens of meters in an instant, its huge fist smashing toward Yan Ning with a whistling sound that tore through the air. The power of this punch was at least over 300 tons. Yan Ning did not take it head-on. His figure dodged like a ghost. The golden-haired ape king's fist smashed into the spot where he had just been standing, creating a crater several meters in diameter on the ground, with gravel flying everywhere. Great power, fast speed, but not very bright. Yan Ning evaluated the opponent's weakness in his heart. Although the golden-haired ape king was ferocious, its attack pattern was simple, relying entirely on brute force and speed to crush its opponents. This kind of opponent was perfect for honing his blade techniques. He no longer dodged but rushed toward the golden-haired ape king's fist. 9 ink fall blades breaking flow. This time, he did not slash at its neck, but at the fist the golden-haired ape king was swinging. The moment the blade edge met the fist, Yan Ning's blade edge cut in at an extremely tricky angle, guiding away that 300-ton force while leaving a bone-deep wound. On its fist, the golden-haired ape king shrieked. Its other fist had already swept over. Yan Ning lowered his head to avoid it, turned his body, and arrived at the side of the golden-haired ape king, swinging his combat blade again. This time, he slashed at its knee. The golden-haired ape king's right leg went soft. Its massive body tilted to one side. Yan Ning took advantage of the momentum and leapt up, his combat blade swinging from bottom to top, the blade edge slicing across the golden-haired ape king's throat. A single slash to sever the throat. The golden-haired ape king clutched its throat, its blood-red eyes wide open, its mouth opening and closing, but it couldn't make any sound. Its body swayed twice. Then, like a collapsed mountain, it crashed heavily onto the ground, splashing dust into the sky. From the start of the battle to the kill, it took less than 20 seconds. Yan Ning sheathed his blade and let out a long breath. In this battle, his understanding of breaking flow had deepened by another layer. Breaking flow was not about head-on collisions, but about borrowing force to strike, using finesse to break clumsiness. The golden-haired ape king's power was far above his. But its power was too brutal and lacked technique, so it was actually easy to guide and neutralize. Yan Ning squatted down and skillfully began to strip the materials. The golden-haired ape king was an A- grade lord, and its value far exceeded that of the previous iron-armored earth dragon. The entire intact fur was worth at least 500 million. The fangs were worth 200 million. The crystal core was 400 million. The heart blood was even more precious, estimated at 200 million. The bones could be used to craft heavy battle axes or war hammers. The full set of bones was estimated at least 100 million. As Yan Ning calculated, his hands trembled slightly. 1.4 billion. One golden-haired ape king, worth 1.4 billion. Adding the 560 million from the previous iron-armored earth dragon, and other miscellaneous beast soldier and beast general materials, this trip out, his total harvest had already exceeded 2 billion. The cloud-caressing vine couldn't wait to pounce, sucking the golden-haired ape king's corpse into withered bones. The golden patterns on the vine brightened a bit more. Although its size didn't change significantly, Yan Ning could feel its energy steadily increasing. Master, still hungry. The cloud-caressing vine sent a thought, but this time the tone was much gentler than before, as if it were acting coquettishly. Yan Ning smiled and shook his head. Your appetite really is a bottomless pit. 5th day. Yan Ning encountered 2 more B-grade lords. One crimson flame tiger, one frost giant python. Both were initial stage lords, and their combined value was around 1 billion. Yan Ning killed the crimson flame tiger from a distance with the arc blade disc and beheaded the frost giant python head-on with the 9 ink fall blades, one long range, one close range. He easily took down both monsters. The crimson flame tiger totaled 400 million. The frost giant python totaled 380 million. In 5 days, 4 lord-level monsters. B-grade iron-armored earth dragon 560 million, A-grade golden-haired ape king 1.4 billion, B-grade crimson flame tiger 400 million, B-grade frost giant python 380 million. Including the beast soldier and beast general materials, about 200 million. Total harvest, 2.94 billion. Yan Ning leaned against a large tree, looking at the material stuffed full in his backpack, and couldn't help but laugh out loud. In the previous 9 years, he had only managed to save 1 or 200 million even by risking his life. But in Kunlun, 5 days meant nearly 3 billion. Is this the money-making speed when cooperating with the cloud-caressing vine? You know, this was only the result of Yan Ning intentionally slowing down his speed, not choosing to rashly go deep to kill advanced lords. Advanced lords are the real money printers. One could yield a harvest of at least 5 billion. But the current harvest was enough. One could experience slaughter. But there was no need to risk going deep. If something unexpected happened, what if the cloud-caressing vine couldn't stop it? What could truly make Yan Ning completely at ease was only his own solid combat power. Eat as much as your stomach can handle. On this point, Yan Ning was open-minded. However, it's no wonder everyone says Kunlun is a paradise for the strong. Yan Ning patted the cloud-caressing vine. How was the meal today? The golden patterns on the cloud-caressing vines were already twice as bright as they were 5 days ago, and its aura was also significantly stronger. Peak of the first level of the planetary stage. Only 1 step away from the second level. Still missing a little bit, Master. Eat 1 more lord, and I can advance. Then let's kill 1 more, find some unlucky guy. But what Yan Ning didn't know was that the storm he had stirred up in these 5 days had already caused an uproar in Kunlun Base City. The first to notice the abnormality was a top-tier martial artist team in Kunlun Base City. Rusty Blade Team. A top 10 strong team of martial artists in Kunlun Base City, with 6 members, the lowest of whom was an intermediate general. The configuration was shockingly luxurious. 4 senior warrior generals, 1 intermediate general, and 1 intermediate general level Psyker Master. This team had roamed the Kunlun Mountains for many years, killing no less than 20 Lord-level monsters, and was one of the sharpest blades in the entire Kunlun Base City. But today, this blade almost broke too. The team had just finished a hunt, with the target being a low-level Lord Iron-backed Lizard King. The battle lasted for nearly an hour. Although they successfully killed the target, the team also paid a high price. The captain's arm was cut with a bone-deep wound, and the Psyker Master's original energy and psychic power were overconsumed, almost unable to stand. Withdraw. Return to the base city to rest first, we'll come back for the materials later. Life is more important. It wasn't that they didn't want to collect them. It was that the movement of the battle was too loud. The bloody smell of the iron-backed Lizard King would attract more predators, and in their current state, if they encountered another Lord-level monster, they would only face total annihilation. 6 people supported each other, quickly retreating along the path they came. But whatever they feared came. A low roar came from the depths of the dense forest, shaking the leaves until they fell rustlingly. Immediately after, a golden-haired ape with a body size comparable to a truck leapt down from the tree canopy, smashing heavily in front of them, making the earth tremble. Damn it! Golden-haired ape. Intermediate lord level. The 6 people were ashen-faced. In their current state, let alone a golden-haired ape, even an initial level lord could take their lives. The golden-haired ape roared and pounced over. A huge fist smashed toward the captain in front with a whistling sound. The captain gritted his teeth and raised his combat blade to block. But his arm was still bleeding, and his strength was simply not enough to block this punch. Whoosh! A silver light flew from the depths of the dense forest, so fast that it didn't even leave a residual image. The golden-haired ape's fist stopped in midair, less than a meter from the captain's head. Its huge body suddenly stiffened. The huge gorilla face still maintained a ferocious expression, but the light in its eyes was rapidly fading. Then, the head slid off, and blood gushed out from the severed neck. The golden-haired ape's corpse fell heavily to the ground, splashing dust into the sky. The 6 people hadn't even reacted yet. They saw a huge emerald-green vine shoot out from the dense forest, wrapping around the golden-haired ape's corpse. That massive body withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Muscles, internal organs, bone marrow, all the life essence was drained dry within a few seconds. The vine retracted with satisfaction and disappeared into the dense forest. From beginning to end, less than 5 seconds. What was that? The Psyker Master's voice was trembling. No one could answer him. The captain was the first to recover, knelt on one knee, and bowed deeply in the direction where the vine disappeared. The other team members also knelt down. Their hearts were full of the relief of surviving a disaster and an indescribable awe. Chapter 34, Mysterious Shadow. As martial artists from the periphery returned to the base city to rest, the topic of, "A mysterious shadow has appeared in Kunlun base city," exploded on the martial artist forum. Posts kept popping up, recounting the eerie scenes they had witnessed in the wild. Our squad saw a silver flash, and that beast general level iron-backed wolf just dropped dead instantly. We encountered a Lord-class Earth Dragon. We were just preparing to fight for our lives when a giant vine suddenly burst out from the ground and swallowed the Earth Dragon whole. Then the vine disappeared, and the Earth Dragon didn't even have its bones left, damn it. You saw it too. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. That vine was at least 10 meters long with golden patterns on it. It didn't look like a monster, it looked more like a plant. A plant. What kind of plant can swallow a Lord-level monster? I don't know. But one thing is certain, that thing has no malice toward humans. It only attacks monsters, and it even saved our lives. The descriptions varied in detail, but they shared a common thread: silver, vine. The silver was blade light. The vine was that mysterious plant life. Thus, a new topic began to ferment. What exactly is that thing? Is it a newly emerged mutated monster? Or a plant life tamed by some powerhouse? The answer was soon revealed. Someone posted a photo on the forum. Although it was almost too blurry to see, after technical processing, the outline in the image could be distinguished. The body of a Lord-level monster was being pierced by silver light, and a massive vine was passing through its body. And at the root of the vine, a human-shaped shadow could be vaguely seen. As soon as the photo was posted, the forum exploded. It's a human, a person carrying a plant life, soloing a Lord-level monster. And looking at the monster in this photo, it seems to be an armored lizard king. A mid-stage Lord class. What level of powerhouse is this? God of War, or planetary level? When did Kunlun base city produce such a figure? Extreme shock, extreme horror, but even more shocking news was yet to come. Kunlun base city council hall. Data analysis room. A young researcher stared at the data on the screen, eyes widening, fingers typing faster and faster on the keyboard. He checked the data 3 times, then stood up abruptly, his chair toppling backward with a loud crash. Impossible. What's wrong? His colleague asked, startled. Look at this. The researcher turned the screen to his colleague, his voice trembling. The peak concentration of life in the northwest direction has dropped by 6 percentage points within today alone. The colleague leaned over to look and was also stunned. Life concentration. This is an important indicator for measuring the overall strength of monsters in an area. The stronger and more numerous the monsters, the higher the life concentration. This value usually changes very slowly. Unless there is a large-scale beast tide or systematic clearing by human martial artists, there won't be obvious fluctuations in the short term. A drop of 6 percentage points, what does that mean? But after thinking for a moment, the colleague shook his head and denied it. This is impossible. Even if 10 Lord-level monsters died at the same time, the impact on life concentration wouldn't exceed 2 percentage points. 6 percentage points, how large a scale would that have to be? That's the problem. The researcher pulled up another set of data. Today's death record for Lord-level monsters is 4, only 4. The two looked at each other, both seeing deep confusion in the other's eyes. The death of 4 Lord-level monsters could not cause a 6 percentage point drop. Unless it's not just Lord-level monsters that died. The number of Beast Soldier level and Beast General level deaths could be dozens or even hundreds of times this number. And, when those monsters died, the life energy in their bodies was extracted by something. The drop in life concentration. It's not because the monsters died, but because the energy in their bodies was completely drained. The office fell into a dead silence. This matter, the colleague said with difficulty, is beyond our control. The researcher nodded. He picked up the phone and dialed the speaker's office number. 1 hour later, the Kunlun Base City Council Hall held an emergency meeting. The speaker attended in person, and all council members in the base city were present. The holographic screen projected that blurry photo and the cliff-like drop in the life concentration curve. The speaker's voice was serious. You have all seen it. In the northwest direction of the Kunlun Mountains, an unidentified person or object appeared today, causing large-scale monster deaths. According to current data, the number of dead or disappeared advanced beast general level monsters is at least 180, including at least 4 lord level. A sound of gasping echoed in the conference room. The speaker's voice grew even more grave. This is a force we have never seen before. It does not belong to any known martial artist squad, nor does it belong to any known monster species. Where did it come from? What does it want? Is it friend or foe? We need answers. Speaker. Could that shadow in the photo be some hidden powerhouse? Unlikely. Another council member shook his head. Every planetary level powerhouse on Azure Star is registered at the War God Palace. If there really were such a figure, we wouldn't not know about it. Could it be an alien civilization? Even less likely. We've seen quite a few alien ruins, but an alien civilization capable of taming plant life would be at least at the stellar stage or above. If such an existence descended upon Azure, it wouldn't be silent. The discussion reached a stalemate. The speaker thought in silence for a long time before finally making a decision. Initiate the highest level of investigation. Mobilize all available satellites and reconnaissance equipment to lock onto the abnormal area in the northwest. At the same time, contact the War God Palace and request the intervention of an inspector-level powerhouse. Also, check all foreign martial artists who have entered Kunlun Base City in the last few days. I don't believe this force fell from the sky, someone must have brought it in. Yes. After the meeting, the speaker sat alone in the office, staring at the blurry photo on the holographic screen. On the photo, silver light and emerald green vines intertwined, tearing a lord-level monster into pieces, and at the junction of that light and shadow, a blurry human figure loomed. Who exactly are you? The speaker murmured. The heat of the photo continued to ferment on the internet. Kunlun Base City took the lead in conducting a comprehensive self-check. They retrieved the records of all foreign martial artists who had entered the base city in the past week and compared them one by one. Nanjong, North Great Wilderness, East Sea, Shanghai. The profiles of prodigy martial artists from major base cities were flipped through, but no one matched. Some suspected it was an elder-level powerhouse from the War God Palace, but this was quickly dismissed. The combat styles of the elders were all recorded in detail. None of them used silver blade light and plant vines. Some suspected it was an envoy from an alien civilization, but this guess was too outrageous, and even the proposer felt it was unreliable. Others suspected it was some undiscovered natural phenomenon. But the outline of the figure in the photo was clear and distinguishable. It was definitely a human. The discussion became more heated, and the guesses became more outrageous. The truth remained shrouded in mist. Chapter 35 Inspector Chin. Thousands of miles away in Betawong Base City, Li Qingyu looked at the blurry photo on the forum, her brows furrowed tightly. Kunlun Base City, silver blade light, plant vines. Could this person be related to Yan Ning? Li Qingyu did not know. But she had an intuition that the blurry figure in that photo made her feel vaguely uneasy. Investigate. Find out exactly who this person is. Yes. The night outside the window was as thick as ink, a greater storm was brewing. 2 months later, deep in the Kunlun Mountains, a silver blade light cut through the sky, severing the head of an intermediate lord-level monster, the fire dragon lizard. Its massive body crashed to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Immediately after, a bright green vine covered in golden patterns emerged from the ground, coiled around the corpse, and drained its life essence completely. Yan Ning sheathed his blade and let out a long breath. It had been 2 months. For these 2 months, from the periphery to the depths, from beast soldiers to lord-level monsters, not a single monster Yan Ning encountered was able to leave alive. The harvest was quite gratifying. In these 2 months, he had slain a total of 32 lord-level monsters. 24 B-class lord-level monsters and 8 A-class lord-level monsters. A B-class lord-level monster had an average value of 1.5 billion, so 24 of them were 36 billion. An A-class lord-level monster had an average value of 4 billion, so 8 of them were 32 billion. Adding the materials from the beast soldiers and beast generals, the total haul was close to 70 billion. Of course, a portion of it was fed to the cloud-caressing vine on the spot, but most of the materials were sold through the channels of Kunlun base city. After deducting processing fees and taxes, he actually received nearly 60 billion. 60 billion federal credits. This amount was enough for him to buy several streets in Nanjing base city. Compared to the cold, hard numbers, what Yan Ning cared about most was his strength. 2 months of frenzied slaughter. His physical fitness had improved rapidly in real combat, and he was just one step away from becoming an intermediate war god. His psychic power, nourished by the residual energy of the plant spirits and the constant infusion of dragon blood, had finally crossed the threshold of a junior war god. A level 7 apprentice psyker master corresponded to a junior war god. The number of blades he could control with his arc blade disc had increased from 72 to 81, still about 20 short of unlocking the first form. And the 9 ink fall blades, breaking flow. After experiencing hundreds of life and death battles, he had finally mastered it completely. A single blade of breaking flow, and all techniques are rendered void. That evening, Yan Ning was planning to pack up his things and return to Nanjing. 2 months of slaughter. The Lord-level monsters in the northwest direction of the Kunlun Mountains had been wiped out by him. The ones that remained had either hidden in the deeper forbidden zones or fled in fear. There was nothing left worth his effort. It's time to go home. Shishi probably knows how to say, "Daddy," by now. The little brat should be able to crawl, and Wanqing is about to give birth. As a father, I can't just keep wandering outside. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine rubbed against his face, conveying a sense of reluctance in its consciousness. In these 2 months, it had eaten its fill in Kunlun, breaking through from the first tier of the planetary stage to the second tier. The golden patterns on its vines had become denser, and its aura was several times stronger than before. It had fallen in love with these days of free hunting. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Let's go. Yan Ning had just taken a step when he suddenly stopped. Something was approaching in the sky. The speed was extremely fast, and the aura was extremely strong. It was so strong that as soon as his psychic power touched it, it was bounced back as if hitting an invisible wall. Yan Ning's pupils constricted sharply. The 81 blades of the arc blade disc flew out from his sleeves instantly, forming a silver barrier around him. At the same time, the cloud-caressing vine clung tightly to the black god suit, forming a second layer of defense on Yan Ning's body. Yan Ning crouched slightly, his right hand pressed on the hilt of his blade, ready to strike at any moment. A figure descended from the sky. He landed on a giant rock 30 meters away. It was a middle-aged man with a burly build, his black hair fluttering slightly in the wind. Inspector Chin looked Yan Ning up and down, his gaze lingering for a moment on the blades of the arc blade disc and the cloud-caressing vine, then he nodded with satisfaction. Good reaction speed. You maintain vigilance at all times and haven't let the killing of a few Lord-level monsters get to your head. That old guy, Joe, didn't misjudge you. Yan Ning was stunned for a moment, then realized who he meant. Old man Joe. Zhou Zhengyuan. People who could address the speaker of Nanjing base city like that could be counted on one hand across the entire Azure Star. And the man before him happened to be one of them. Thinking of this, Yan Ning retracted his blades, released the hilt, and bowed respectfully. Inspector Chin. Qin Mufeng waved his hand. Kunlun reported to Azure in a panic, saying something about, the life concentration in the northwest direction has plummeted by 20 percentage points, suspected birth of a king-level monster. At this point, Qin Mufeng couldn't help but laugh. I thought something extraordinary had really appeared, so I made a special trip, but when I saw it, it turned out to be you, kid. Yan Ning rubbed his nose, feeling a bit embarrassed. I've caused trouble for you, Inspector. What trouble? Qin Mufeng waved his hand dismissively. Well done. The monster density in the Kunlun Mountains has always been the highest among all base cities, and the council has been troubled by it for I don't know how many years. In this trip, you killed 32 Lord-level monsters, including 8 A-class ones. This military achievement is something few people in the War God Palace can compare to. Yan Ning didn't expect Qin Mufeng to know his results so clearly, and he was slightly startled. But he didn't show it on his face, only saying modestly, "Inspector, you overpraise me, this junior still has many shortcomings." Qin Mufeng looked at him with appreciation. "No need for empty formalities. At your rate of growth, breaking through to the planetary stage is only a matter of time. By then, you and I will be peers. In this world, rank isn't based on age, it depends on strength." Yan Ning's heart stirred. Qin Mufeng's words carried significant weight. "As for the Li family, you don't need to worry too much. Hong is also dissatisfied with the Li family. With a great enemy at the gates, engaging in petty tricks behind the scenes is unseemly. However, the Li family has guarded the bitter cold of the North Great Wilderness for decades. If they have no merit, they at least have labor. Besides, Hong is a kind-hearted person, so he just turns a blind eye. But if the Li family shows even the slightest sign of acting up, someone will naturally deal with them. With external enemies at the gates, we must at least clean up our own house first." Qin Mufeng was giving him a reassurance. As long as he didn't make mistakes and didn't give anyone leverage, the Li family couldn't touch him openly. But Yan Ning didn't intend to let the Li family off. In fact, the other party wouldn't let him off either. Eventually, the day of a life-and-death showdown would come. Rather than waiting passively, Yan Ning preferred to take the initiative and annihilate them with a thunderous strike. Yan Ning nodded. It was a vague answer. "I just nodded, I didn't say I agreed. By the way, I previously proposed to reward you, but I've been busy lately and it was shelved. I'll take this opportunity to publicize your battle achievements. You don't have any objections to being promoted from a Nanjong-based city councilor to an Azure councilor, do you?" Chapter 36, Yan Ning, the name of the god of war, promoted to Azure Counselor. Azure Counselor. Yan Ning's heart rate accelerated slightly. Azure Counselor is a status 2 levels higher than a base city councilor. A council head focuses more on administration, responsible for governing a base city. Across all 25 base cities on Azure Star, there are only 25 council heads. But an Azure Counselor is different. Although their number is higher than that of council heads, it is still no more than 50. An Azure Counselor signifies higher honor and status, and also demands higher combat power and contributions. Every counselor stands at the pinnacle of the power pyramid on Azure Star. No objections. Qin Mufeng nodded, then looked him up and down, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly, as if he had thought of something interesting. "All right, I have other matters to attend to, I'm leaving first." He turned and shot into the sky, turning into a stream of light that disappeared into the horizon. Yan Ning stood where he was, watching the direction where the stream of light had disappeared, a strong desire surging in his heart. Planetary level. When would he also be able to be like Qin Mufeng, truly achieving flight in the sky, coming and going freely? Qin Mufeng sped through the high altitude, but his mind was still on Yan Ning's affairs. This young man was even more outstanding than he had anticipated. In just over a year, he went from a medically discharged martial artist to a junior war god, also training as a psyker master, taming a planetary stage plant life form, and mastering a set of blade techniques he had never seen before. This speed of growth, one could not find a second example in the entire history of Azure Star. In a few more years, he might really be able to surpass us old folks. Qin Mufeng muttered to himself, suddenly remembering something and thinking it was worth a try. He had a granddaughter, only 29 years old this year, a war god-level martial artist, with excellent talent and an independent personality, still unmarried and had never been in a relationship. He had introduced a few to her before, but she had directly refused them all. But Yan Ning, perhaps they might hit it off. "I'll ask when I get back." Qin Mufeng accelerated, his figure disappearing into the clouds. 2 days later, the Azure Federation released a congratulatory message across the entire network. Holographic screens, communication watches, public broadcasts, all channels pushed this message at the same time. Red font, bolded title, accompanied by an ID photo of Yan Ning. Open black lens bracket. Distinguished military achievements, well deserved, Nanjong Base City Councilor Yan Ning promoted to Azure Councilor, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. It is reported that in the past 2 months, Azure Counselor Yan Ning executed extermination missions in the peripheral areas of Kunlun Base City. He cumulatively killed 32 Lord-level monsters, and countless Beast General-level and Beast Soldier-level monsters. This act greatly alleviated the extermination pressure on the Kunlun Base City defense line and made outstanding contributions to the expansion of the human race's living space. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Upon deliberation by the Azure Council and approval by the War God Palace, it was decided to grant Yan Ning the honorary title of Azure Counselor, and simultaneously appoint him as an official member of the War God Palace. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Hereby announced. Close black lens bracket. Once the news was out, the entire network was in an uproar. 32 Lord-level monsters. 2 months. Is this data real or fake? Could the Azure Federation's announcement be fake? Why would a Nanjong Base City Councilor run to Kunlun? Wait, do you guys remember that photo on the forum 2 months ago? Silver blade light, plant vines, mysterious figure. Could that figure be Yan Ning? Now that you mention it, silver blade light, plant vines, it all matches. The figure in that photo is Yan Ning. How did he do it? I remember he was still a medically discharged junior war general just over a year ago. Medically discharged junior war general. Are you kidding me? Someone who can kill 32 Lord-level monsters is at least an advanced war god, possibly even planetary level. Found it, found it. Yan Ning, 28 years old this year, formerly a frontline martial artist in the Nanjong Base City Army, handled medical discharge about 3 years ago after his foundation was damaged in the Nanjong Meat Grinder War. Last year, he performed outstandingly in a recruitment mission, was jointly recommended by 2 war gods, Zhao Henian and Zhou Wenbin, and was exceptionally promoted to Base City Councilor. Later, he solved the Area K-17 ruin incident alone, rescuing a missing Special Forces member. Now he has set a record of killing 32 Lord-level monsters in 2 months. Is Counselor Yan using hacks? I don't care if he's using hacks, I only care if he's still single. Wake up, upstairs, he already has 3 wives. What's 3? Azure Counselor, official member of the War God Palace, with genes of this level, the organization will definitely increase his mission quota. 5. 8. 10. Zhou Zhengyuan looked at the announcement on the holographic screen, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly as he picked up his teacup and took a sip. This kid, he really made it. His secretary asked cautiously, Council Head, is Counselor Yan Ning considered high-level Azure leadership now? Zhou Zhengyuan shook his head, not yet. Above the Azure Counselor there are elders, above the elders there is the Council Head, and above the Council Head there is the Inspector. His path is still long, but to be able to reach this point at 28 years old is already remarkable. Council Head Zhang looked at the announcement, was silent for a long time, then sighed. So it was him. Silver blade light, plant vines, it was actually a Nanjong counselor. What are our people in Kunlun doing? Li Qingyu sat in the study, staring at the ID photo, her fingers tapping on the table. Azure Counselor, official member of the War God Palace. In just a few months, the medically discharged martial artist she could have crushed like an ant had already climbed to a position she could reach but could not easily attack. Cannot wait any longer. Once Chongshan comes out of seclusion, everything will still be possible. Li Chongshan was in seclusion, attempting to break through to become a planetary stage Psyker Master. Once he succeeded, he would be the first planetary-level Psyker Master on Azure Star. At that time, the entire structure of the War God Palace would change. The deterrent power of a planetary-level Psyker Master far exceeded that of an ordinary planetary-level martial artist. Yan Ning, Li Qingyu whispered, coldness flashing in her eyes, no matter how fast you are, can you be faster than Chongshan's breakthrough speed? When Yan Ning pushed open the door, Shenyao was pacing in the living room, holding their daughter. Yanxi was almost 1 year old. She was fair and chubby, with big, bright eyes. Seeing Yan Ning enter, she reached out her little chubby hands, mumbling, "Da. Daddy." Yan Ning's heart was melting. He quickly walked over, took his daughter from Shen Yao's arms, and lifted her high, making the little one giggle non-stop. Zhao Zixuan also came out from the inner room holding her son. The little guy, Yan Yang, was already 4 months old. He was even chubbier than his sister. Seeing Yan Ning, he wasn't shy and reached out to grab his face. Wanqing is resting upstairs, her morning sickness is severe, don't disturb her. Daddy is back. Zhao Zixuan's eyes were a bit red, but she held back her tears. Yan Ning smiled. He took an alloy case out of his backpack and opened it to reveal a vial glowing with a pale blue light. Water of life. This is. Zhao Zixuan's eyes widened instantly. It's for our dad to use. It's enough to reattach severed limbs. Zhao Zixuan's tears finally fell. She handed Yan Yang to Shen Yao and threw herself into Yan Ning's arms, crying like a child. Yan Ning gently patted her back without speaking. Perhaps absence makes the heart grow fonder. The usually shy Shen Yao agreed to Yan Ning's invitation for a duo battle, choosing Magical Cat with the battle principle skin pure and seductive style. Zhao Zixuan was also extremely cooperative, choosing Caitlin Piltover Sheriff with the pool party skin. That night, a flash of cold light struck first, then the spear struck like a dragon. Even if the level 9 bot lane duo cooperated well and had perfect synergy, how could they be a match for the level 18 full build Yan Ning? Shen Yao and Zhao Zixuan were naturally forced into a retreat, utterly defeated, and begged for mercy repeatedly. The game lasted less than 15 minutes before they surrendered. In this battle, Yan Ning was victorious. Chapter 37, Persuading the Granddaughter to Marry. Kunlun Base City. The Qin family estate. Qin Shuyu was dragged out of the training room by an urgent communication. She had just finished a high-intensity combat simulation, drenched in sweat, her long hair sticking to her cheeks, and she hadn't had time to change out of her combat uniform. The caller ID on her communication watch displayed, "Grandpa," so she sighed and answered. You, are you busy?" Qin Mufeng's voice came from the other end, carrying a deliberate lightness. Qin Shuyu was all too familiar with this tone. Every time Grandpa wanted to say something she didn't want to hear, he used this tune. Just finished training. Qin Shuyu wiped her hair with a towel. What is it? Grandpa is introducing a young man to you. His appearance, strength, and character are all impeccable. Do you want to take some time to meet him? Qin Shuyu's hand paused. Then she continued wiping her hair, saying with some dissatisfaction, "Grandpa, how many times have I told you not to arrange blind dates for me? I haven't been medically retired yet, so what's the rush? You can live for so long, don't be in such a hurry to hold your grandsons and granddaughters. You're an inspector now, why are you still so feudal? Why shouldn't I be in a hurry?" Qin Mufeng's voice became more serious. "You're already 29, an intermediate war god, and you've accumulated a pile of merit points. Although the organization's reproduction mission can be offset by merit points, can you offset it for your whole life? You'll have to face it sooner or later. I don't care, just don't rush me." Qin Shuyu threw the towel aside and leaned back in her chair. "Let's talk after I achieve a breakthrough to the planetary level." Planetary level. Qin Mufeng sighed. Do you know how many planetary level individuals there are on the Azure Star now? Including your grandfather, there are fewer than 10 in total. Even with your talent, it will take at least 3 to 5 years to achieve a breakthrough to the planetary level. You'll be over 30 by then. Consider it then. All the good candidates will have been picked by others. Qin Shuyu frowned and said nothing. Qin Mufeng knew her temperament, hard persuasion wouldn't work, so he changed his angle. Do you know how fast the evolution speed of monsters on Azure is lately? In the past 3 years, the number of Lord-level monsters has increased by 37%, and 2 new King-level monsters have appeared. If those of us in high positions don't set a good example, how can we convince the public below? Qin Mufeng paused, his tone becoming heavy. The lives of the public are already very difficult. It's unfair to put the bulk of the reproductive burden on them. We martial artists enjoy the best resources and the highest status, so we should bear the greatest responsibility. Qin Shuyu was silent for a moment. Then she spoke, her voice still firm. I don't care. At the very least, before I achieve a breakthrough to the planetary level, I will not consider the reproduction mission. My merit points are enough to offset the organization's mandatory requirements for me. This is allowed by the rules, and you cannot force me. Qin Mufeng was not angry. He knew his granddaughter's temper, it had been like this since she was a child. Once she made up her mind, even 9 oxen couldn't pull her back. So what if he was an inspector? An inspector still had to put up with his own granddaughter's temper. Yes, the rules allow it. But you, listen to a few words from your grandfather's heart. Qin Shuyu remained silent, but she didn't hang up. For an individual, this is indeed unfair. Why should we, who are on the front lines of the most dangerous areas, not even be able to decide our own major life events? Why should we compromise for the sake of the so-called ethnic group? But the times are different now. Before the cataclysm, if an ordinary person lived to 70 or 80, it was considered a long life. But after the emergence of gene origin energy, it's not an issue for a war god-level martial artist to live for 100 or 200 years. Your grandfather, having reached the planetary level, can live for 1,000 years. Sounds long, right? He sighed, but if there is no ethnic group, no matter how strong you and I are, on the scale of the universe, we are destined to wander without a home. This is the root that raised us. We received the torch from our old ancestors, and it should be passed on by us. Qin Shuyu lowered her head, her fingers twirling a strand of hair. In this world, there have never been that many things that go according to one's wishes. Most of the time, we just compromise to get by. Back then, I could have chosen not to go, but behind me were the lives of millions in 2 base cities. But because I went, your parents had to sacrifice themselves. I had no choice. Even though I was already at the planetary level back then and Hong had already emerged, I still had no choice. The silence lasted for a long time. Qin Shuyu raised her head. There was a hint of stubbornness in her eyes, but her tone was softer than before. Grandpa, it's not that I won't give birth, it's about having children later, slowly, and with better quality. I don't want to just find someone to make do. My child must have a father who is excellent enough. And, most importantly, no ordinary man can catch my eye. If I, Qin Shuyu, am going to marry, I must marry someone stronger than me, a true heaven-favored genius. I am 29 years old this year, an intermediate war god. Among my peers, how many can reach this height? They are either old men, in their 50s or 60s, or war general level martial artists in their early 20s. Compromise with those people, I might as well be dead. Qin Mufeng listened quietly on the other end of the communication, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. Little girl, you've taken the bait. Didn't you say before that the mysterious powerhouse in Kunlun Base City is very strong? And that if you had the chance, you would want to meet him? Qin Shuyu was stunned for a moment, then realized, her brows furrowing slightly. Grandpa, are you talking about Yan Ning? It is him. Of course, Qin Shuyu had heard of Yan Ning's combat record. Killing 32 Lord-class monsters in 2 months, 8 of which were A-level. She asked herself, she couldn't achieve this record. Let alone 2 months, even if given a year, she might not be able to kill 8 A-level Lord-class monsters. That person was indeed very strong. But she still hesitated. He has already married 3 women, and I have to marry him too. Grandpa, what do you take me for? Qin Mufeng did not answer directly. He was silent for a moment, then let out a long, heavy sigh. It is said that another king beast has been born in the North Pole realm. Its momentum is very fierce, and even Hong has been alarmed. Once it is successfully located, a siege must be organized. When that time comes, your grandfather will have to go too. Qin Shuyu's heart tightened abruptly. King Beast, what level? It's hard to say right now, but it's at least planetary level rank 3 or above. At that time, we must also be vigilant about the movements of other king beasts. To be honest, even for your grandfather, I don't have much confidence in returning unscathed. Qin Shuyu's expression changed. Grandpa, listen to me finish. Qin Mufeng interrupted her. Your parents left early, and I raised you single-handedly. I have never asked you for anything in my life, but on this matter, listen to your grandfather's advice. This path of martial arts is long and perilous. If I am not by your side, having someone else to accompany you is ultimately better. I'm not forcing you to do anything, nor am I asking you to marry immediately. Just go meet him. Treat it as getting to know someone, making a friend. If you get along, you can be together, if not, forget it. Can you do that? Qin Shuyu bit her lip, her eyes slightly reddening. Of course, she knew her grandfather's temper. This inspector, who commanded the wind and rain on Azure Star, would never speak soft words to anyone. Today, he was truly serious about this. Okay, I will go. Qin Mufeng smiled, gratified. This is the granddaughter of Qin Mufeng. After hanging up the communication, Qin Shuyu stood by the window, looking at the southern sky, not moving for a long time. Yan Ning. She murmured this name, her gaze complex. Chapter 38. 3 rounds, win and I will marry you. Nanjong Base City, Councilor Villa District. When Yan Ning received the message from Qin Mufeng, he was in the training room continuing to polish his 9 ink fall blades. He wiped away his sweat and opened the message. After reading it, he was stunned again. Inspector Qin's granddaughter, an intermediate war god, under 30, a series of rhetorical questions, as if confirming he hadn't misread. The message was written very clearly. Qin Shuyu, 28 years old, intermediate war god, the only granddaughter of Inspector Qin Mufeng. Her parents sacrificed themselves in her early years, and she was raised single-handedly by Qin Mufeng. She is unmarried to this day. She has no marriage engagements and has never had a boyfriend. An intermediate war god under 30. Yan Ning took a deep breath. Although she is not a psyker master, with this talent, she has at least the potential for the planetary stage. His heartbeat accelerated slightly. He must win her over. Not because of attraction to her beauty. Ahem, at least not entirely. But because, for a woman like this, whether it is genetic talent, strength background, or her own value, she is worth Yan Ning going all out for. As for Inspector Qin's background, to Yan Ning, it was far less attractive than Qin Shuyu herself. Yan Ning stood up. He walked into the washroom and tidied his appearance in the mirror. No rush. If it works out, it works out. If not, at least maintain basic social etiquette, but it's best if it works out. More children, more blessings, more children, more blessings. 2 days later, Nanjong Base City Airport. Yan Ning arrived half an hour early. He wore a dark blue casual jacket with a black turtleneck underneath, looking neat and sharp, not flashy, but not shabby either. It was their first meeting. Bringing flowers was too deliberate, and bringing gifts was too utilitarian. So Yan Ning chose to come empty-handed. Among martial artists, there was no point in such superficial gestures. There weren't many people at the airport. Yan Ning leaned against a pillar, spreading out his psychic power to scan every person walking out of the arrival gate. Then, Yan Ning saw her. Her long hair was like a waterfall, cascading down to her waist. She wore a white trench coat over a black tight-fitting battle suit, which outlined her smooth and powerful body lines. Her legs were long, her strides were wide, and every step was crisp and decisive. Her skin was fair, her features exquisite yet heroic, and there was a natural air of pride between her brows. Very pleasing to the eye. Yan Ning silently gave her a score in his heart. 9.8. The 0.2 points deducted were because Qin Shuyu's expression was too cold, as if she had come to fight rather than go on a blind date. Yan Ning walked up to her, extended his hand, and smiled. Hello, I'm Yan Ning. Qin Shuyu stopped and looked him up and down. Her gaze swept from his face to his shoulders, from his shoulders to his waist, and from his waist to his legs. Qin Shuyu did not shake his hand. Instead, she spoke directly, her voice as clear and cold as ice. Let's have a fight and see. Yan Ning's hand hung in midair, and he was stunned for a moment. If you win against me, I will marry you. If you lose, tell my grandfather not to urge me to get married and have children. Yan Ning looked into her eyes. There was no joking or testing in those eyes, only a kind of pure and serious battle intent. What the hell? What kind of plot development is this? A strange feeling welled up in Yan Ning's heart. The woman in front of him probably wasn't trying to make things difficult for him, nor was she putting on airs. She really wanted to fight, really wanted to verify a person through combat. There's such a good thing. Yan Ning almost said this out loud, but fortunately, he held back. He confirmed, "Are you serious?" "Naturally." Qin Shuyu nodded, "Of course, the prerequisite is to defeat me within 3 rounds. 3 rounds. With his current strength, never mind 3 rounds, even in 1 round, he was confident he could take down an intermediate war god. The arc blade disc unsheathed. The 9 ink fall blades came out. The cloud-caressing vine coiled up. An intermediate war god couldn't last more than 3 seconds in front of him. But Yan Ning didn't show any unusual expression, he had to maintain basic respect. Since the other party had said so, Yan Ning had no choice but to agree, "Fine." Qin Shuyu raised her eyebrows slightly. She seemed a bit surprised that he agreed so readily. Yan Ning turned around, exercising his role as the host. "I'll arrange the venue, follow me." Nanjong Base City, Martial Artist Training Hall. Yan Ning used his counselor authority to open a training room of the highest specification. A 300 square meter space with alloy walls, adjustable gravity, and excellent soundproofing. Qin Shuyu stood at one end of the ring and took off her trench coat, revealing the black tight-fitting battlesuit underneath. Her figure was excellent. Her shoulder lines were straight, her waist was slender, and the muscle lines of her arms and calves were smooth and powerful. She drew 2 short blades from her waist, the blades gleaming with a cold light. A9 grade alloy short blades. A pair, worth a fortune. Using weapons? Qin Shuyu asked. Yan Ning shook his head and pulled a common alloy battle blade from the rack behind him. A5 grade. The kind that could be bought at any martial arts gym in Nanjong Base City. Qin Shuyu frowned. Using an A5 grade battle blade to fight against her A9 grade short blades. This was either arrogance or genuine confidence. "Let's begin," Yan Ning said. Qin Shuyu moved. Her speed was extremely fast. When an intermediate war god's speed erupts at full power, ordinary people can't even see afterimages. Her figure flashed. She had already darted from one end of the ring to in front of Yan Ning. The short blade in her right hand slashed down diagonally, the blade coated with a pale blue halo of origin energy, the sound of it tearing through the air sharp and piercing. This strike was fast, fierce, and accurate. The angle was tricky, the force was sufficient, and the speed was astonishing. An ordinary junior war god wouldn't even have time to react. But Yan Ning was not an ordinary junior war god. He did not retreat, nor did he choose to block. Under the training of the 9 ink fall blades, the opponent's strike was too slow and a bit too weak. Yan Ning just shifted his body slightly. The blade grazed past his chest, less than a centimeter away from his clothes. At the same time, he raised his left hand, brought his index and middle fingers together, and lightly flicked Qin Shuyu's wrist. Qin Shuyu only felt a numbness in her wrist, and the short blade almost slipped from her hand. Her pupils contracted slightly. She was astonished by Yan Ning's control over his strength. That flick had just the right amount of force, not too light, not too heavy, just enough to make her wrist go numb without causing any injury. This was something that could only be achieved by mastering strength to the extreme. "One move," Yan Ning said. Qin Shuyu's expression changed. She withdrew her short blades, retreated rapidly, and put some distance between them. Then she lunged again. This time, she attacked with both blades, using both hands. The left blade slashed toward Yan Ning's neck, while the right blade stabbed toward his chest. One feint, one real. One fast, one slow. It could be said that she had sealed off all of Yan Ning's possible escape routes. This was her signature technique, Twin Dragon Strangulation. She had used this move to defeat more than one intermediate war god. Yan Ning still did not retreat. His battle blade unsheathed. 9 ink fall blades, breaking flow. The trajectory of the blade was not a block, not a counterattack, but a severing the momentum of Qin Shuyu's twin blades. Severing the continuity of her attack. Severing the rhythm of her assault. Chapter 39, The Loser. Qin Shuyu felt as if her 2 blades had been guided by something, involuntarily veering off their original trajectory. The left blade slashed through empty air. The right blade missed its mark. Her body leaned forward slightly from the excessive force, exposing a fleeting opening. Yan Ning's blade stopped beside her neck, less than a millimeter from her skin. 2 moves, he said. Qin Shuyu's body stiffened. She looked down at the blade in front of her chest, then looked up at Yan Ning's face. His expression was calm, without any triumph or mockery, even carrying a hint of faint appreciation. You. Qin Shuyu's voice was somewhat dry. Exactly what is your strength? Junior War God Martial Artist, Junior War God Psyker Master. Yan Ning sheathed his blade and stepped back 2 paces, but my actual combat power is likely above an intermediate war god and below the planetary stage. Qin Shuyu remained silent for a long time. She recalled what her grandfather had said, this young man is not simple. At the time, she thought her grandfather was exaggerating. How strong could a 28-year-old junior war god be? She was already an intermediate war god at 28, in terms of talent, she was not inferior to anyone. But now she knew, talent and strength are 2 different things. This person cannot be measured by common logic. I lost. Qin Shuyu put away her short blade, her voice was calm, but her eyes held a trace of imperceptible disappointment. It wasn't just because of the loss. Winning and losing are common occurrences, she could afford to lose. It was because, for the first time, she had met a peer who was so strong she didn't even have a chance to fight back. Yan Ning looked at her and suddenly said, "You are very strong." Qin Shuyu looked up at him. "Your speed, strength, and technique are all top tier. The synergy of your dual blades is unmatched by anyone I've ever seen. I just had the advantage of my cultivation. Technique, my blade style just happens to counter your dual blades." Yan Ning was telling the truth. The 9 ink fall blades is a stellar stage secret technique. Even if it was just the introductory level, it could not be compared to war god level martial skills. If Qin Shuyu also had a cultivation technique of the same level, it would be hard to say who would win. But who told him to have a cheat? Qin Shuyu looked into his eyes, trying to find a hint of hypocrisy or perfunctoriness in his expression. But she found none. "You really know how to talk." The corners of Qin Shuyu's mouth lifted slightly, that was the first time she had smiled today. Yan Ning also smiled. "It's not about knowing how to talk, it's just telling the truth." Qin Shuyu put away her short blade, walked to the edge of the arena, and picked up her trench coat. With her back to Yan Ning, she was silent for a few seconds, then said, "I will not go back on what I promised." Yan Ning was stunned. "What?" Qin Shuyu turned around, looked at him, her gaze clear and candid. "You won, I will marry you." Yan Ning didn't know what to say for a moment. To be honest, he was more inclined to think she was just joking, and Yan Ning hadn't taken it too seriously himself. He had even prepared for the long haul. After all, a proud woman like this wouldn't easily bow her head, even if she lost. So Yan Ning's initial plan was to take it slow, get to know each other, spend time together, and cultivate feelings. He hadn't expected Qin Shuyu to skip all the steps. "Are you not going to reconsider?" Yan Ning asked tentatively. "Reconsider what?" Qin Shuyu raised an eyebrow. Qin Shuyu, keep my word. If you beat me within 3 rounds, I will marry you. You won in 2 moves, I have no reason to go back on my word." She paused, then added, "Of course, the wedding can be held later, but since I said I would marry you, I will not consider anyone else." Yan Ning looked into her eyes. "Good. Then let's start. As friends, there's no rush for the wedding." Qin Shuyu looked at his hand, and this time she didn't refuse. She reached out and shook it, his palm was warm and strong. "Friends." Qin Shuyu nodded, and then, "Fiancé and fiancé." Yan Ning chuckled. Qin Shuyu glared at him. "What are you laughing at?" "Laughing at my good luck," Yan Ning said, "came to the airport to pick someone up, and brought back a fiancé." Qin Shuyu's face flushed slightly. But she quickly returned to her cold expression. "Don't get cocky. Although I am marrying you, it doesn't mean I will listen to you in everything. I have my principles, and I have my bottom line." "Understood." Yan Ning nodded. "I have my principles and bottom line too. We can slowly adjust to each other." Qin Shuyu glanced at him, the corners of her mouth lifted slightly, and she said nothing more. When the two walked out of the training center, the sunlight outside was just right. Yan Ning walked in front, and Qin Shuyu followed half a step behind him. Their shadows overlapped on the ground, like a painting that had just begun. By the way, Yan Ning suddenly remembered something and asked, "Does your grandfather know about our bet?" "He doesn't," Qin Shuyu said, "but he probably guessed. He understands me and knows how I would test you." Yan Ning nodded and didn't ask again. Just then, his communication watch vibrated. It was a message from Qin Mufeng. Open black lens bracket kid, you didn't cause you any trouble, did she? Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket no, young Miss Qin is doing very well, we are getting to know each other, close black lens bracket. After sending the message, Yan Ning glanced at Qin Shuyu. She was looking at the distant sky screen, her profile glowed softly in the sunlight, her long hair blowing in the wind, a few strands brushing against her cheek. Yan Ning withdrew his gaze and said silently in his heart, "Got her." The sunlight in Nanjong Base City was warm, the wind was light, and the light patterns on the sky screen flowed slowly like water ripples. On the distant streets, traffic flowed like a weave, and people's faces wore calm smiles. Everything was moving in a good direction. But in the North Great Wilderness, thousands of miles away, deep inside the seclusion chamber, the silver halo around Li Chongshan grew thicker and brighter. His brows were tightly locked, veins bulging on his forehead, as if he were enduring great pain. But those silver halos were seeping into his brow bit by bit, slowly transforming his psychic power. He was only one step away from being a planetary stage psyker master. Outside the seclusion chamber, Li Qingyu stood quietly, her gaze piercing through the heavy alloy door, as if she could see her husband inside. Soon. Just wait a little longer. Yifang, Mom will avenge you. Just then, an encrypted message popped up. Open black lens bracket madam, Yan Ning picked up a woman at the Nanjong airport. Identity confirmed, Qin Mufeng's granddaughter, Qin Shuyu, close black lens bracket. Li Qingyu's pupils contracted slightly. Qin Mufeng's granddaughter. If Yan Ning and the Qin family formed an alliance through marriage. Cannot wait anymore. He must be eliminated before he marries into the Qin family. Li Qingyu turned and walked toward the communication room, her fingers sliding rapidly across the screen, sending out one instruction after another. Even if Li Chongshan achieved a breakthrough to the planetary level, it still wouldn't be safe. She had to risk trying other possibilities. Chapter 40, Qin Shuyu's Sincerity. 3 months of time passed quietly in cultivation and companionship. Yan Ning and Qin Shuyu were almost inseparable, practicing blade techniques intensely. Qin Shuyu had extremely high talent for blade techniques. Yan Ning taught her the first form of the 9 ink fall blades, breaking flow. Although it wasn't the complete secret technique, but merely some skills in utilizing momentum, it opened a new door for Qin Shuyu. In just 3 short months, her blade technique had improved by at least 30%. And Yan Ning's own progress was even more astonishing. During these 3 months, he had completely refined and absorbed the energy from the dragon blood and the millennium wood and grass spirit remaining in his body. Those warm currents that had settled into his limbs and bones were unearthed little by little through day-to-day cultivation, transforming into tangible cultivation base. Martial Artist Cultivation Base, Intermediate War God. Psyker Master Cultivation Base, Intermediate War God. Both had reached a breakthrough. The Arc Blade Disc had also unlocked its first form under the nourishment of his psychic power. In its first form, the Arc Blade Disc's attack power increased several times over, capable of easily taking the head of an advanced War God Psyker Master. Even against a planetary-level spirit reader, Yan Ning felt confident enough to fight. As for Li Chongshan, an advanced War God Psyker Master, once he reached a breakthrough to the planetary level, he would be the first planetary-level spirit reader on the Azure Star. Such an existence possessed bizarre and unpredictable methods. However, Yan Ning was not afraid. He had far too many trump cards. The Black God suit could deflect all attacks below the planetary level and also had excellent damage reduction effects against planetary-level attacks. The Cloud-Caressing Vine had already reached a breakthrough to the second tier of the planetary level. With both defense and attack power far exceeding ordinary planetary-level martial artists. After the Arc Blade Disc unlocked its first form, its attack power surged. And as for him personally, both his martial artist and Psyker Master cultivation bases had reached the intermediate War God level, Combined with the 9 ink fall blades, he was formidable in both close quarters and long-range combat. Even if Li Chongshan breaks through, it won't be that easy for him to kill me. In fact, who kills whom is yet to be determined. But Yan Ning had no intention of provoking him proactively. Time was on his side. The Li family had lost their only son and hated him to the bone, wishing they could tear him to pieces. But the more this was the case, the more anxious the Li family would be, and the easier it would be for them to make mistakes. And Yan Ning only needed to stay steady, keep cultivating, and grow stronger. With each passing day, his strength grew by a fraction. With every passing month, the Li family's advantage diminished by a fraction. The longer it dragged on, the more favorable it was for him. As for the issue of money, Yan Ning was even less worried. His harvest from the 2 months in Kunlun Base City last time totaled nearly 70 billion, after deducting various expenses and the 15 billion spent on the water of life for Zhao Tishan, he still had a balance of around 45 billion. This sum of money was more than enough to raise the 2 children, Yanxi and Yan Yong, and even with Su Wanqing's child on the way, there was no pressure at all. Su Wanqing's due date was within these 2 months. She needed to support her waist when walking, but her mental state was very good. Shenyao and Zhao Zixuan took turns taking care of her, and the 3 women got along harmoniously. Everything was moving in a good direction. That evening, Yan Ning received a message. It was sent by Qin Shuyu. Are you free tonight? Let's have a meal together. Yan Ning raised his eyebrows. For the past 3 months, they had met almost every day, but Qin Shuyu had never taken the initiative to ask him out. They always ate at home, with Shenyao cooking and everyone eating together. Asking him out for a meal alone. This was the first time. I'm free. What time? 7 o'clock, at the Cloud Top Pavilion. I've booked the whole place. Cloud Top Pavilion, the best restaurant in Nanjing Base City, and also the place where he and Su Wanqing had first met. 7 p.m. Cloud Top Pavilion, top floor private room. When Yan Ning arrived, Qin Shuyu was already there. She was sitting by the window, the sunset glow spilling through the floor-to-ceiling windows onto her, dyeing her long hair gold. She was wearing a black dress, simple and elegant, but with an excellent cut that accentuated her figure perfectly. Her collarbones were exquisite, her skin like jade, and against the black dress, it shone with a pale radiance. Yan Ning's footsteps paused for a moment. In these 3 months, he had seen Qin Shuyu's heroic bearing in combat gear, her casualness in leisure wear, and her capability in training clothes. But this was the first time he had seen her in a dress. She was beautiful, not the kind of fragile beauty, but a beauty full of strength, like an unsheathed sharp sword, sharp and exposed, yet carefully hidden beneath the black hem of the dress. What are you looking at? Qin Shuyu noticed his gaze and tilted her head slightly. Her tone was flat, but the roots of her ears were slightly red. Looking at you. Yan Ning walked over and sat down opposite her. You look very beautiful today. Qin Shuyu's face flushed slightly, but she quickly recovered her cold expression. She picked up the water glass on the table and took a sip, as if to cover up something. I asked you out because I have something to tell you. She put down the glass and looked at Yan Ning. Qin Shuyu was silent for a few seconds, then spoke, her voice lower than usual. I've thought about a lot of things these past 3 months. Yan Ning didn't speak, listening quietly. At the beginning, I agreed to marry you because I lost a bet. Qin Shuyu's fingers lightly caressed the rim of the cup. I, Qin Shuyu, keep my word. If I lose, and I won't renege. But at that time, I just treated marrying you as a promise that had to be fulfilled. She paused, looked up, and met Yan Ning's eyes. But it's different now. Yan Ning's heartbeat accelerated slightly. Your talent, character, and personality, I have seen them all. You are stronger than me, but you never show off. You have secrets, but you never hide them from me. At least, you have never lied to me. These 3 months, you taught me blade techniques without holding anything back. Qin Shuyu continued, you are very good to Shen Yao, Zhao Zixuan, and Su Wanqing, and you are very good to the children. You were loyal to your friends and decisive when killing your enemies. She took a deep breath, as if making an important decision. So, I am willing. Yan Ning was stunned. Willing to what? Qin Shuyu glared at him, the blush on her face deepening. Willing to marry you. Not because you won the bet, not because of Grandpa's arrangement, but because of you, as a person. After she finished this sentence, her ears turned completely red, and she lowered her head, not daring to look into Yan Ning's eyes. Yan Ning looked at her, and a warm current surged in his heart. This woman was proud, stubborn, and unyielding. Getting her to say the words, "I am willing," was harder than winning a tough battle. Shuyu. Yan Ning called her softly. Qin Shuyu looked up, the layer of ice in her eyes had melted, revealing the soft and warm things underneath. "I am willing too," Yan Ning said. Qin Shuyu was stunned for a moment, then smiled slightly. This was the first time Yan Ning had seen her smile so happily. They chatted for a long time. From cultivation to life, from the past to the future, from Nanjong to Kunlun. Qin Shuyu talked a lot about her childhood. After her parents sacrificed themselves, how her grandfather raised her, how he taught her to cultivate, and how he helped her up every time she fell. When she said these words, her eyes were slightly red. Yan Ning listened quietly, occasionally interjecting a sentence, but mostly just acting as a listener. Chapter 41, The Muya Crystal, finally breaking through to planetary level. The night grew deep. The lighting in the private room became soft and ambiguous. Qin Shuyu set down her wine glass, looking at Yan Ning, her gaze much softer than usual. "Tonight." She paused, her voice growing quieter, "I'm not going back." Yan Ning looked into her eyes. From those eyes, he read many things: courage, trust, a resolute determination to completely entrust oneself to another person. "All right," he said. That night, the two became as one. Qin Shuyu was not gentle like Shen Yao, not passionate like Zhao Zixuan, nor precise like Su Wanqing. She was like a flame, fervent, direct, and utterly unguarded. She embraced, kissed, and surrendered with all her might, as if telling Yan Ning through this act, "This is me, all of me. Whether you accept it or not, this is who I am." Yan Ning, of course, chose to accept it all. Not only accept. He responded to her with equal passion. Outside the window, the nightscape blazed with lights. The temperature inside the room continued to climb. Open black lens bracket. Remember the fastest novel site online. Read on 101 Reading Network. The excitement is all at 101kkс.com. Close black lens bracket. The next morning, Yan Ning was awakened by the sunlight. Opening his eyes, the space beside him was already empty. The quilt was neatly folded, and a faint, lingering fragrance remained on the pillow. On the bedside table lay a note, the handwriting elegant. Open black lens bracket. I've left first. There are still some matters to handle in Kunlun Base City, so I can't have breakfast with you. There's food in the fridge, remember to heat it up before eating. Close black lens bracket. Shuyu. Surprisingly considerate. This woman, icy on the fighting stage, brimming with killing intent in the training room, had actually left him a note and reminded him to heat up his food. There's even a hint of a shy, feminine side. Yan Ning folded the note neatly and placed it in a drawer. And right at that moment, panel information appeared before his eyes. Open black lens bracket. Detected host has completed reproduction task with female of higher genetic potential, triggering critical reward for branching out task. Obtained draw chance ×1. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Note: to trigger critical hit, the female reproducing with the host must genuinely recognize the host's husband identity from the heart. Close black lens bracket. Shuyu, you truly are my lucky star. He got up and walked into the bathroom. The prize draw panel unfolded. Open black lens bracket. Item. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Technique. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Artifact. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Other. Close black lens bracket. 3 seconds later, the pointer steadily stopped on open black lens bracket. Item. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Muya Crystal ×1. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Description: can be used for cultivation breakthroughs, significantly enhancing physical body quality and psychic power, with a very high probability of assisting the user in achieving a planetary level breakthrough. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket note. Muya crystal energy is gentle, suitable for martial artists at any stage to consume, but the effects are optimal when consumed below planetary level. Close black lens bracket. Yan Ning's breathing suddenly became rapid. A Muya crystal. Planetary level. With this Muya crystal, I can break through to planetary level in an extremely short time. Yan Ning took a deep breath, suppressing the wild joy in his heart, and began to think calmly. From intermediate war god to planetary level, there lay a vast chasm. Through normal cultivation, even with the best talent, it would take years, even over a decade. But with a Muya crystal, that time could be shortened to within a month. Can my physical body withstand the Muya crystal's powerful energy? Yan Ning calculated in his mind. It shouldn't be a major problem. I've undergone the baptism of planetary level dragon blood and absorbed the energy of a millennium wood and grass spirit. My physical body strength far surpasses that of martial artists at the same level. Moreover, I have the cloud-caressing vine to help share the burden. Yan Ning hesitated no longer. He immediately decided to go into seclusion. After settling matters at home, Yan Ning entered the underground training room. The cloud-caressing vine peeked out from his collar, curiously observing the Muya crystal in Yan Ning's hand. Master, good stuff. Its consciousness conveyed a sense of longing. Can I eat it? No. Yan Ning patted its vine. This is mine. You have monsters to eat. I'll make sure you have plenty later, but not now. The cloud-caressing vine withdrew, aggrieved. Yan Ning sat down cross-legged. He held the Muya crystal in his palm. A fragrance of rice, with a faint white light swirling around it. Holding it in his hand, he could feel a gentle yet pure energy surging within, not as violent as dragon blood, nor as sluggish as the wood and grass spirit. It was a perfectly balanced, gentle power. Let's begin. Yan Ning placed the Muya crystal in his mouth, closed his eyes, and activated his gene origin energy to refine it. The energy of the Muya crystal flowed like a gentle stream from his mouth down his throat, spreading through his meridians to every part of his body. But contrary to its gentle appearance, the total amount of this energy was incredibly vast. The first day, the Muya crystal's energy filled all the meridians in his body, every acupoint stretched to the brim. The second day, the energy began to seep into his muscles, bones, and marrow. The third day, his psychic power also began to grow. The faint cyan cluster of light in his sea of consciousness rapidly expanded, condensing from a misty glow into a crystal clear, crystalline substance. Psychic power materializing, this was the hallmark of a planetary-level spirit reader. Yan Ning's body underwent earth-shaking changes under the Muya crystal's energy. Muscles, bones, blood, psychic power. Every part was being remolded, strengthened, elevated to a higher level. But this process was not easy. On the 10th day, the pain began. It felt as if someone were using a blunt knife, scraping his bones bit by bit, incessantly. And the force kept increasing. Yan Ning gritted his teeth, not uttering a sound. What's a little pain like this? The 20th day, the pain reached its peak. Yan Ning felt as if his body were being forged in a furnace, every inch of muscle burning, every bone melting. The cloud-caressing vine sensed his suffering. It actively extended its vines, winding around his body, helping him bear part of the energy impact. Master, hold on. The 25th day, the pain began to lessen. The Muya crystal's energy was no longer violent but became docile, flowing gently through his meridians. The 30th day, boom. Yan Ning heard a crisp sound from within his body, as if something had been completely shattered. That vast chasm lying between God of War and planetary level was broken. Gene origin energy surged within him. Planetary level. Both martial artist and psyker master, a dual breakthrough. He casually threw a punch. The fist wind tore through the air in the training room, emitting a sharp shriek. The air was compressed into a visible ball of chi, slamming into the alloy wall with a dull, heavy thud. A 2-meter diameter dent appeared on the wall, its edges covered in fine cracks. And this was the result after Yan Ning had consciously controlled his strength. Planetary level. Yan Ning looked at his fist, a smile curling at the corner of his mouth. This is the power of planetary level. The enhancement of his psychic power was even more astonishing. With a thought, the 196 blades of the arc blade disc flew out, converging into a silver stream of blades in the air. The blade stream resembled a silver dragon. The sharp shrieks of cutting air rose one after another. Arc blade disc, second form, blade stream. Transforming the blade stream into a living entity, capable of changing form at will and launching attacks from any angle. Its attack power was several times that of the first form, with an amplitude as high as 8-fold. Now, even if Li Chongshan has broken through to become a planetary-level spirit reader, he wouldn't gain any advantage against me. No, to be more precise, killing him would be as easy as crushing a chick. Chapter 42, Eliminating Future Troubles. In the Li family estate of the Beidawang base city, the alloy door of the seclusion room slowly opened. A dense silver halo poured out from the crack in the door. Li Chongshan walked out from within. Half of his hair had turned white, his originally jet-black temples were now as frosted as snow, and his face appeared much older than before his seclusion. The silver halo surrounding his body was a manifestation of materialized psychic power. Planetary-level spirit reader. The first planetary-level spirit reader on Azure Star. The first thing Li Chongshan did after coming out of seclusion was to find Li Qingyu. He had too much to say to his wife. About his insights after the breakthrough, and about the murderer who killed their son. But Li Qingyu was not there. "Where is the madam?" The attendant lowered his head, his voice trembling. "Madam. Madam took people to the ruins 7 days ago." Li Chongshan's brows furrowed sharply, the silver halo around his body suddenly condensed, and the temperature in the corridor seemed to drop by several degrees. "Which ruins?" The attendant dared not hide the truth. It is the one in the deepest part of the area under the jurisdiction of the North Great Wilderness. Number NG001, the one that was said before, that even a planetary-level powerhouse would risk their life if they forced their way in. Li Chongshan's expression sank completely. Ing 001. No one knows what is hidden inside to this day, because no one who has gone in has ever come out alive. Li Qingyu went to such a place. Madam said she found a safe way. The attendant's voice grew quieter. She said she would not disturb the things inside the ruins, and instructed before leaving that if you came out of seclusion, I should tell you, not to worry, and that there would be news within a week. Not to worry. She went to such a place, and you tell me not to worry. The attendant knelt on the ground, not daring to look up. Li Chongshan took a deep breath, suppressing the anger in his heart. He knew that getting angry now was useless. Li Qingyu had already been gone for 7 days, according to what she said. Within a week, there should be news by today or tomorrow at the latest. Li Chongshan turned and walked to the window, looking towards the south. Yan Ning. He recited this name, the hatred in his eyes almost overflowing. If it weren't for you, Yi Feng wouldn't have died, and you wouldn't have gone to the ruins to take risks. All of this is because of you. You must die. Nanjong Base City, Councilor Villa District. Yan Ning shared the good news of his breakthrough to the planetary level with his 3 wives. Compared to the joy of the breakthrough, the 3 women were actually more worried about Yan Ning's own safety. Shen Yao was coaxing Yan Shi to sleep. Hearing this news, her hand paused for a moment before continuing to gently pat her daughter's back. She didn't say any words of congratulation, just looked up at Yan Ning, her eyes filled with tenderness and a hint of worry. Brother Ning, the stronger the strength, the greater the responsibility. We only hope that you take good care of yourself. Zhao Zixuan came out of the inner room holding Yan Yang. The little guy was already half a year old, chubby and fair, and was gnawing on his own fist. Even at the planetary level, you can't be reckless. That guy old Zhao just got his limbs reattached and is already getting restless again. Su Wanqing's due date was this month. She leaned against the sofa, caressing her belly with maternal radiance. I don't care where you go or what you do. But you must remember, you have a home behind you, 4 women, 3 children, well, it will soon be 4. Yan Ning walked over, sat down beside her, and gently put his arm around her shoulders. I know, so I will be fine. Su Wanqing nodded and said nothing more. Just then, Yan Ning's communication watch vibrated. It was an encrypted message from the Azure Federation Combat Readiness Department. Open black lens bracket War God Palace conscription order urgent close black lens bracket open black lens bracket 2. Azure Counselor, official member of the War God Palace, Ning close black lens bracket open black lens bracket abnormal gathering of monster herds has appeared on the periphery of the North Pole Realm Circle. After deliberation by the Supreme Council of the War God Palace, it has been decided to launch the first phase of Operation Ice Freeze, clearing the periphery of the North Pole Realm Circle. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket objective. To weaken and reduce the number of Lord-class monsters around the North Pole Realm as much as possible, creating conditions for the subsequent general offensive. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket operation time. 3 months later, for a duration of 10 days, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket see attachment for the conscription list. All conscripts must report to the North Pole Realm Frontline Command Post before the specified time. Those who fail to arrive on time will be treated as deserters in the face of battle. Close black lens bracket. After reading the message, Ning frowned slightly. After opening the attachment, he found the conscription list was very long. Most of the war gods from the War God Palace were on it, including himself, as well as Li Chongshan and Li Qingyu from the Beidawang base city. Only a small number of injured war gods were left to be responsible for guarding the major base cities. Ning muttered to himself, the North Pole Realm, the lair of a newly promoted king-level monster. What's wrong? Su Wanqing noticed his expression. It's nothing, a Federation conscription. 3 months later, I'm going to the North Pole Realm to carry out a clearing mission. The three women's expressions changed. The North Pole Realm. It is arguably one of the most dangerous places on Azure Star, covered in ice and snow all year round, with an extremely high density of monsters, Lord-class monsters as numerous as the hairs on an ox, and no shortage of king-level monsters. It is no exaggeration to say that going to such a place to carry out a mission is a narrow escape from death. Don't worry, I am now a planetary level, there are not many people on the entire Azure Star who can hurt me. Although the North Pole Realm is dangerous, it is not enough to cost me my life. The women did not know Ning's true trump cards, so it was normal for them to be this worried. They still thought their husband was just an ordinary planetary level. Even if he was a genius or prodigy, compared to those veteran powerhouses, his own foundation was actually not quite enough. Furthermore, in order not to make the three women too worried, Ning also hid some things. On this conscription list, there were Li Chongshan and Li Qingyu. After breaking through to the planetary level, this was actually an opportunity for Ning, an opportunity to completely eliminate future troubles. The night was deep and quiet. Ning sat alone in the study, thinking about the North Pole Realm. In a year, it would be just about the time for Qin Shuyu to give birth. Without a doubt, Ning was very much looking forward to it. Genetic potential at the planetary level. And after his baptism by dragon blood and other things, Ning's own genetic limit had also been raised. With the two combined, would he produce offspring with planetary level potential? As for the clearing of the periphery of the North Pole Realm Circle, it would last for 10 days, with the goal of weakening the number of Lord-class monsters. The combat plan was divided into 2 steps. Hong would personally take action to hold off the king-level monster deep in the North Pole Realm, ensuring it would not interfere with the clearing operations on the periphery. Other war gods would carry out the clearing in divided areas, killing as many Lord-class monsters as possible within 10 days. First fight the periphery, then the general offensive. The first step is to weaken, the second step is a full-scale offensive a year later. Just by looking at the tip of the iceberg of this conscription order, Ning could feel how tragic this encirclement battle would be. King-level monster. A planetary-level existence, and not an ordinary planetary level. One that could make Hong personally take action to hold it off had to be at least planetary level tier 3 or above. In battles of that level, the aftermath alone would be enough to kill ordinary war gods. But for Ning, it was also a very suitable practical combat opportunity. Dual planetary level. Both martial artist and psyker master breaking through to the planetary level simultaneously was absolutely unprecedented on Azure Star. The actual combat power was far from as simple as planetary level tier 1. The cloud-caressing vine was planetary level tier 2, the arc blade disc had unlocked its second form, and the black godsuit could deflect planetary level attacks. Yan Ning calculated in his heart. The monster density in the North Pole realm was extremely high, with Lord-class monsters as numerous as the hairs on an ox. The cloud-caressing vine could eat its fill there, and his own blade techniques and psychic power could also be honed in actual combat. More importantly, Li Chongshan and Li Qingyu would also go. In a place like the North Pole realm, communication is limited, visibility is limited, and each squad operates independently. If someone were to, accidentally, die during the operation, there would be no way to investigate. Perfect. Yan Ning's gaze became deep. Take this opportunity to completely eliminate future troubles. Li Chongshan, Li Qingyu. You want to kill me, and I want to kill you too, so let's see, 3 months from now, who dies before whom. Chapter 43, 10,000-Year Mutated Black Root. Li Qingyu successfully returned. Of the 12 elite martial artists who accompanied her, only 3 returned, all wounded, and 1 even had an arm severed. But Li Qingyu herself was completely unharmed. Her spirits were even better than when she set out, and she was carrying a metallic case half the length of a person in her hand. The material of the case was very unique, it was not any alloy known on Earth. The surface was dark gray, covered in dense, intricate patterns. The case was very heavy. Even Li Qingyu, an advanced war god, found it somewhat strenuous to carry. Walking into the courtyard, the first thing she said upon seeing Li Chongshan was, "Chongshan, I got it." Li Chongshan stepped forward quickly to meet her and took the case from her hands. The moment the case was in his hands, he frowned. This case weighed at least 5 tons. Even with his physique as a planetary-level spirit reader, he felt it was quite heavy. "What is this?" "Found it in the ruins." Li Qingyu's voice carried a hint of exhaustion, but more so excitement. A weapon from an alien civilization, a planetary-level heavy cannon. One shot can kill a planetary-level 4th-rank powerhouse. Li Chongshan's pupils contracted slightly. Planetary-level 4th rank. In all of Azure, only 2 people were above that level. Qin Mufeng is planetary-level 5th rank. Hong's strength is unknown, but definitely above Qin Mufeng. What does it mean to kill a planetary-level 4th rank with 1 shot? It means this weapon, excluding Qin Mufeng and Hong, can pose a fatal threat to anyone on Azure Star. What about energy decay? Li Chongshan asked. After all, he came from a background as a Psyker master, and his perception of energy was much sharper than Li Qingyu's. He could sense that the object inside the case contained immense energy, but that energy was unstable and seemed to be constantly leaking. I have calculated it. According to the normal rate of energy decay, this weapon can currently exert 60 to 70% of its peak power. It is more than enough to kill a planetary-level 2nd rank. Li Chongshan was silent for a moment, then nodded. It was enough. No matter how fast Yan Ning progresses, at most he is currently an advanced war god, still some distance away from the planetary level. Even if he were truly a prodigy and broke through to the planetary level, at most he would be planetary level 1st rank, but how could breaking through to the planetary level be that simple? Back in the day, he, Li Chongshan, was also a genius. He achieved advanced war god level Psyker master at 47. But it took him a full 20 years to enter the planetary level. Therefore, that kid Yan Ning certainly cannot enter the planetary level. In Li Chongshan's view, there was no difference between Yan Ning and a dead man. If a planetary level 2nd rank couldn't withstand this shot, how could a 1st rank, or even an apprentice level? Li Chongshan placed the case on the ground and said carefully, "Keep this safe. Don't let anyone know." Li Qingyu nodded, then asked the question she cared about most, "Did you break through?" Li Chongshan didn't speak, just raised his right hand. A silver orb of light condensed in his palm, pulsing and emitting a low buzzing sound. Planetary level spirit reader. Li Qingyu's voice trembled slightly, the first on Azure Star. Li Chongshan retracted the orb of light, his gaze turning deep. With this heavy cannon, plus my psychic power, killing Yan Ning is a sure thing. But he is currently protected by the Qin family. Li Qingyu reminded him, that old thing Qin Mufeng certainly won't sit idly by. Therefore, we cannot act in Nanzhong. And not in Kunlun either. We must find a place where he is alone, a place where Qin Mufeng cannot intervene in time. Li Qingyu thought for a moment, then her eyes suddenly lit up. The North Pole realm. Li Chongshan looked at her. News I just received. Li Qingyu pulled up an encrypted message on her communication watch. The Azure Federation has issued a War God Palace conscription order. 3 months from now, there will be a cleanup operation on the periphery of the North Pole Realm Circle, with the goal of weakening and reducing the number of Lord-level monsters around the North Pole Realm as much as possible, in preparation for the subsequent general offensive. Li Chongshan took her watch and read it carefully. The conscription list was very long. Most of the war gods from the War God Palace were on it, including Yan Ning. It also included the 2 of them. Only a small number of wounded war gods were left to guard the major base cities. The North Pole Realm. In a place like that, even if Qin Mufeng wanted to intervene, it would be too late, Li Chongshan muttered. And the cleanup operation is executed by zones, with each team operating independently, communication is restricted, and visibility is limited. If Yan Ning were to be, accidentally, killed by a monster during the operation. She didn't finish her sentence. But the meaning was already very clear. Li Chongshan was silent for a long time, then nodded. 3 months. Enough. In these 3 months, I will stabilize my realm, and you will familiarize yourself with the operation of the heavy cannon. 3 months later, the North Pole Realm will be Yan Ning's burial ground. A flash of ruthless light crossed his eyes. I will hack him into 1,000 pieces to avenge Yi Feng's spirit in heaven. The night outside the window was as thick as ink, and dark clouds pressed in from the north, obscuring the starlight. 3 months later, the North Pole Realm. A snowstorm was waiting for them there. Nanjong Base City, Council Member Hospital. Congratulations, both mother and daughter are safe. Yan Ning walked in quickly. Su Wanqing lay on the bed, her face pale but her spirits fine, holding a small swaddle in her arms. Daughter. Su Wanqing's voice was somewhat weak but carried a smile. Give her a name. Yan Ning took the swaddle. Looking down at that wrinkled little face, an indescribable feeling welled up in his heart. 3 children, every time he saw his own child being born, the feeling was different. The first time was surprise. The second time was stability. The third time was a heavy, profound sense of completeness. Call her Yan Qing. Qing from clear water, just like her mother, cool and clean. After settling Su Wanqing and the child, Yan Ning went to the washroom to check the system panel. Open black lens bracket detected that the host has given birth to offspring, breaking through genetic potential, obtained lucky draw count ×1 close black lens bracket. He took a deep breath and silently thought of the lucky draw. Open black lens bracket item close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket technique close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket weapon close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket other close black lens bracket. The pointer stopped on open black lens bracket item close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket congratulations to the host for obtaining 10,000 year mutated black root ×1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket description close black lens bracket. 10,000 year mutated black root is extremely rare, containing immense life energy and genetic repair factors. Dissolve in water to consume, it can significantly improve physique, nourish meridians, and increase genetic potential. It is especially suitable for women, and has miraculous effects on postpartum recovery and aptitude improvement. Open black lens bracket note close black lens bracket, can be shared by multiple people without reducing the effect. Yan Ning looked at the description provided by the system and quickly calculated in his mind. Although it was not something that directly increased combat power, its value was immense. Using the 10,000 year mutated black root to improve the physique of his 4 women and increase their genetic potential could not be more appropriate. And with increased genetic potential, their cultivation speed would also accelerate, their lifespans would be extended, and the genetic talent of the offspring they give birth to would also be higher. Ahem, it seems like the second child can also be put on the agenda. More children, more blessings, more children, more blessings. Chapter 44, Operation Ice Freeze. Following the instructions, Yan Ning sliced the 10,000-year mutated black root into thin pieces and soaked them in warm water. The black root dissolved the moment it touched the water. He prepared 4 bowls and brought them to Shen Yao, Zhao Zixuan, Su Wanqing, and Qin Shuyu, respectively. What is this? Qin Shuyu picked up the bowl, took a sniff, and frowned slightly. Something good. Yan Ning said, 10,000-year mutated black root. It can improve your physique and enhance your gene origin energy potential. Drink 1 bowl a day for 10 consecutive days. It is a precious treasure I obtained from the ruins. I only have this much, so I have to prioritize my family first. The 4 women looked at each other. They naturally believed Yan Ning's explanation, he would never harm them. But, compared to enhancing their own gene origin energy potential, the women were more concerned about whether Yan Ning had any for himself. As the person charging on the front lines and the pillar of the family, improving his own potential and aptitude was far more important than doing so for them. Thinking of this, Shen Yao was the first to speak, her voice gentle. What about you? Are you not using it yourself? I have already used it. Yan Ning said, half truthfully, this is what is left. It would be a waste if you do not drink it. The black root was useful to him as well, but the effect was far less significant than it was for women. Instead of consuming it for such a meager improvement, it was better to use it to improve the physiques of his 4 wives. After much persuasion, the 4 women finally believed him and drank it according to Yan Ning's instructions. 10 days passed quickly. With the daily intake of the 10,000-year mutated black root, the physiques of the 4 women underwent significant changes. Shen Yao officially stepped into the realm of a martial artist. Zhao Zixuan's efficiency in practicing her guiding technique was nearly 5 times faster than before. Su Wanqing's postpartum recovery was astonishing, and the psychic power in her mind gushed out like a spring. The most obvious change was in Qin Shuyu. She was originally an intermediate war god, but after consuming the black root, she was only a hair's breadth away from becoming an advanced war god. And this was merely the immediate effect after just 10 days of consumption. The primary benefits of the 10,000-year mutated black root would manifest bit by bit in the years to come. Where exactly did you get this stuff? Did you really find it in the ruins? Since when have the ruins become so common? Qin Shuyu looked at her hands, a trace of disbelief in her eyes. She could feel the gene origin energy within her body slowly increasing, and her meridians were nearly 10% wider than before. It is a secret, but it is completely legal. Yan Ning smiled without explaining. After all, he could hardly say he had a cheat, could he? Qin Shuyu glanced at him but did not press the issue. If he did not say, she would not ask. This was the unspoken understanding between them. Qin Shuyu had moved to Nanjong half a month ago. She was 2 months pregnant. After Qin Mufeng found out, he sent her over without a second thought, saying, Kunlun is too cold and not suitable for pregnancy. You should go to Nanjong. Yan Ning has people to take care of you there, so I can rest easy. Qin Shuyu had originally wanted to argue a few points. However, seeing the gratified smile on her grandfather's aged face, she swallowed the words that had reached her lips. She and Yan Ning had obtained their marriage license. They were officially registered as husband and wife in the Nanjong-based city civil administration system, and on the night they got the license, the family had a meal together. The recruitment day was drawing near. Qin Shuyu's belly was not yet showing, but her morning sickness was severe. She would retch. For a while every morning when she got up, she watched Yan Ning pack his bags, leaning against the doorframe, her fingers unconsciously stroking her still flat belly. I will go with you, she said. Yan Ning turned around and looked at her. You are pregnant. It is only 2 months, it won't affect my mobility. I am an intermediate war god. I have been to places like the North Pole realm more than once. If you go alone, I will not be at ease. Yan Ning walked over, placed his hands on her shoulders, and looked into her eyes. Shuyu, listen to me. Your name is not on the list for this recruitment. It is not because your strength is insufficient, but because the organization will not allow a pregnant woman to go to the front lines. That is the rule. Rules can be changed. They cannot be changed. Your grandfather is an inspector, so you should lead by example in following the rules. You staying in the rear to rest and nurture the pregnancy is the greatest support you can give me." Qin Shuyu was silent for a moment, then lowered her head, her voice softening. "I am just worried." Yan Ning knew what she was worried about. Li Chongshan and Li Qingyu were on the recruitment list. And in a place like the North Pole realm, communication is limited, visibility is restricted, and each team operates independently. If the Li couple were to pull any tricks during the operation, rest assured, your husband is now a planetary-level powerhouse. I will just kill them both. Do not put too much pressure on yourself, there will be plenty of opportunities for you to shine in the future. Qin Shuyu looked up at Yan Ning. She simply stood on her tiptoes, pressed a light kiss to his lips, and then turned and walked back into the room. Yan Ning stood in the corridor, watching her back, a warm current rising in his heart. "Come back alive." These were the simplest yet most caring words the four women had for Yan Ning. Recruitment day. The special plane took off from Nanjong Base City and landed at the military airport in Kunlun Base City 3 hours later. When Yan Ning walked down the ramp, many people were already standing on the tarmac. A glance across the crowd revealed mostly familiar faces, some he had seen at meetings in the council hall, and others he had seen in the files of the War God Palace. Everyone wore a serious expression, and the air was filled with the tension of an impending war. 4 of the 6 inspectors had arrived. Qin Mufeng stood at the very front, with the other 3 inspectors behind him. All of them were planetary-level powerhouses, standing there like 4 towering mountains, exerting an invisible sense of oppression. 104 God of War powerhouses had been mobilized. This number accounted for nearly 80% of the total combat power of the War God Palace. It could be said that they were mobilized in full force. Qin Mufeng stood on a temporarily constructed high platform. A holographic screen unfolded behind him, projecting the terrain map of the North Pole Realm Circle. "Everyone, you must all already be aware of the gathering of monster herds on the periphery of the North Pole Realm Circle. I will keep this brief." He marked several red areas on the map. The code name for this operation is Operation Ice Freeze. The goal is to weaken the number of Lord-level monsters on the periphery of the North Pole Realm Circle to create conditions for the general offensive a year later. Lord Hong will personally station himself deep within the North Pole Realm to hold back that king-level monster, ensuring it does not interfere with the peripheral operations. But even so, this operation remains dangerous. The monster lords near the North Pole Realm Circle are stronger and more ferocious than those in the interior. Therefore, I suggest that each team try to form groups with an advanced war god as the core. Do not disperse, and do not act rashly. Returning unscathed is the most important thing. Our goal is to clear them out, not to be wiped out. A low murmur of discussion broke out below the stage. Soon, the 104 God of War powerhouses began to form teams based on their respective base cities and networks, quickly forming over 20 teams. Each team consisted of 3 to 6 members, and basically, all had an advanced war god in command. Yan Ning chose to form a team of 1. The registrar was stunned for a moment and opened his mouth to say something, but seeing Yan Ning's calm expression, he swallowed his words. A team of 1. In a place like the North Pole Realm, this was either arrogance or genuine confidence. Yan Ning's combat record spoke for itself, 32 lords killed in 2 months, including 8 A-level ones. Among the 104 God of War powerhouses present, no second person could match this record. The registrar signaled to Qin Mufeng. Qin Mufeng glanced at Yan Ning on the platform, nodded slightly, and did not say anything more. Yan Ning's gaze swept through the crowd, and he quickly found Li Chongshan and Li Qingyu. The Li couple stood at the edge of the crowd, surrounded by several God of War powerhouses from Beidawang Base City, and were talking in low voices. Li Chongshan was wearing a dark gray combat suit. His expression was calm, and no abnormalities could be seen. Yan Ning noticed that half of his hair had turned white, but his spirit was excellent. Standing there, he gave people a sense of stability like a mountain. Chapter 45, Li Chongshan's Madness. No one knew that Li Chongshan had achieved a breakthrough to the planetary stage as a Psyker Master. Li Chongshan had not disclosed it to the organization. Obviously, this action violated the rules. Any martial artist who achieves a breakthrough to the planetary level must report it to the War God Palace immediately. But Li Chongshan chose to conceal it. He wanted to keep this trump card to use against Yan Ning. The might of a planetary-level spirit reader, even if there wasn't a significant change in amplification, carried immense weight just by virtue of the title, planetary level. If Azure and the War God Palace knew that Li Chongshan had achieved a breakthrough, there would only be two possibilities. The first was to keep him under strict surveillance. Yan Ning was equally important. The inspectors would certainly not sacrifice a top-tier planetary-level combatant due to a dispute between descendants. At most, they would offer compensation or increased benefits afterward. The second, with a very small probability, was that they would choose to indulge Li Chongshan. After all, one was a potential planetary level, while the other was a bona fide planetary level, and a Psyker master at that. But Li Chongshan knew that, given the nature of Azure and the inspectors, they would absolutely not let Yan Ning die at his hands due to a vendetta. Therefore, it seemed like there was a way out. In reality, Li Chongshan did not have many choices. For Li Chongshan, he simply wanted Yan Ning dead. His only son was dead. No amount of compensation afterward could change that fact. Only by personally severing Yan Ning's head could this grudge be settled. As for Yan Ning, he also chose to conceal it, but at least he had reported it to Inspector Chin. From this perspective, it was at most a procedural irregularity. The War God Palace could not say anything about it. And Yan Ning's purpose for concealing it was very simple. He was afraid that if he grew too quickly, it would scare the other party into not seeking revenge. If the other party followed the rules, he, Yan Ning, would really have no reason to eliminate them. If he couldn't eliminate them, he would have to be on guard all day long. Yan Ning's gaze rested on Li Chongshan for a moment, then shifted away. Even if Li Chongshan had achieved a breakthrough, so what? It would just take a little more time. Hide, then. The deeper you hide, the faster you will die. The Li couple chose an area with a higher density of Lord-level monsters. On the west side of the North Pole Realm Circle, the Frozen Canyon. The density of Lord-level monsters in that area was the highest in the entire North Pole Realm, and the danger coefficient was also the highest. They brought along 4 advanced war gods from Betawong Base City, forming a 6-person team. Yan Ning chose the east side, the frozen plateau. One was in the western hemisphere. One was in the eastern hemisphere. Separated by over 1,000 kilometers, there was no way they would cross paths. Therefore, no one was suspicious. Although those in the circle knew about the conflict between Yan Ning and the Li family, in an operation of this level, everyone was more concerned with the mission itself. Moreover, the Li couple had voluntarily chosen an area far away from Yan Ning, which looked like they were avoiding suspicion rather than plotting something. Set off. Following Inspector Chin's order, over 100 gods of war boarded a dozen transport planes and flew toward the North Pole Realm. Murmansk Base City, the last human stronghold on the periphery of the North Pole Realm Circle. This place used to be a prosperous ice-free port. After the cataclysm, the climate changed drastically, the seawater froze, and the bustling port turned into a dead city. Now, only dilapidated fortifications and a small number of garrison troops remained, gasping for breath under the dual assault of ice, snow, and monsters. When the transport planes landed at the makeshift airport in Murmansk Base City, the temperature outside had already dropped to -80 degrees. The main force completed their final assembly here and then set off separately. Yan Ning bid farewell to Inspector Chin and the other inspectors, and sped off toward the east alone. 130 kilometers to the east was the frozen plateau. At least 10 Lord-level monsters were entrenched there, making it one of the core target areas for this clearing operation. When Yan Ning stepped onto the frozen plateau, the first Lord-level monster took the initiative to approach him. It was a troll walrus, over 40 meters long, its body covered in a thick layer of fat and grayish-brown fur. It lay on the ice, resembling a moving hill. Lord class, intermediate rank. A-rank Lord. The troll walrus discovered Yan Ning and let out a low roar. Its massive body moved rapidly across the ice, causing the ice sheet to creak under its weight. its tusks thrust forward with a piercing whistle that tore through the air. Ning did not use the arc blade disc. He drew the alloy battle blade from his back, a silver halo condensing on the edge of the blade. 9 ink fall blades breaking flow. One strike. The troll walrus's massive body split down the middle, separated into two, and a line of blood sprayed out. Killed in one strike. Ning sheathed his blade. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine emerged from his collar, coiled around the troll walrus's carcass, and drained its life essence completely. The first one, 600 million in the account. Ning packed away the materials and continued walking forward. 6 hours. Ning had swept through nearly 50 kilometers of the frozen plateau. He had killed 47 beast general level monsters and 6 lord level monsters, 3 B rank and 3 A rank. The cloud-caressing vine was well fed, the golden patterns on its vines glowing a bit brighter, bringing it one step closer to the 3rd rank of the planetary stage. Ning leaned against an ice rock, preparing to continue deeper, when his psychic power suddenly captured several life signals approaching rapidly. Not monsters. They were humans. And they were strong, with a familiar feeling. Ning looked calmly toward the southeast. 6 figures walked out of the snowstorm. Li Chongshan was walking in the front. His hair was disheveled by the wind, his eyes were as sharp as knives, and a faint silver halo surrounded his body. Behind him was Li Qingyu. She was carrying a metal box half a person's length in her hand. Ning's psychic power swept over the box, and he frowned slightly, sensing a threat from it. Further behind were 4 gods of war, all advanced war gods from Beidawang Base City. Everyone's expression was serious, their eyes fixed intently on Ning. 6 against 1. Ning stood in place, motionless. Li Chongshan stopped 50 meters away from Ning. Li Qingyu and the 4 gods of war spread out behind him, forming a semicircular encirclement. The snowstorm howled between them. The tension was palpable. Ning, you know why I've come. Ning looked at Li Chongshan, too lazy to respond. You killed my son. Li Chongshan's voice trembled with anger. You killed Yifeng. My son, my only son. His eyes were bloodshot, and the muscles on his face twitched slightly. That aged face was filled with the pain of losing a son and deep-seated hatred. Do you know how long I've waited for this day? During this time, every time I close my eyes, I see Yifeng's corpse. His head was chopped off, his body was cut into pieces. You tell me, is this something a father can endure? Li Chongshan sneered, his voice distorted. Do you think you're safe just because Inspector Qin is protecting you? Do you think you can sit back and relax just because you've been promoted to Azure Counselor? You're wrong. Today, here, no one can save you. He raised his right hand, a silver ball of light. Condensing in his palm. The ball of light pulsed in his palm. A silver halo spread outward with him as the center. The ice layer on the ground cracked, and tiny ice crystals floated in the air. Planetary Stage Psyker Master. I have achieved a breakthrough. The first planetary-level spirit reader on Azure Star. Do you know what that means? It means that in the field of psychic power, I am the strongest. Those flying knives of yours are nothing but children's toys in front of me. In a moment, I will show you what true cruelty is. Li Chongshan drew 12 silver flying knives from his waist, each forged from A9 grade or higher alloy. The 12 flying knives hovered around him, slowly rotating, overflowing with killing intent. I will slice you into 1,000 pieces. One slice at a time, until you die. You will die exactly the way Yifeng died. No, you will die 100 times, 1,000 times more miserably than him. The 4 gods of war behind him moved simultaneously. The 4 of them dispersed, sealing off all of Ning's possible escape routes. They were all wearing A8 grade or higher inner armor and wielding A8 grade weapons. With the 4 of them working together, they could even contend with a planetary level for a while. Chapter 46. No pressure, still instant kill. Li Qingyu chose not to act rashly. She had something more important and safer to do. Li Qingyu crouched down, placed the metal box on the ground, and her fingers slid rapidly over the patterns on the box. The box hummed, and the patterns on its surface lit up one by one, changing from dark red to bright red, and from bright red to incandescent white. Planetary heavy cannon, charging initiated. Charging time, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and not even Yama could save Yan Ning. Yan Ning. Li Qingyu looked up, somewhat hysterically. You killed my son. Today, I want you to pay with your life. Yan Ning looked at the 12 flying knives hovering around Li Chongshan, looked at the 4 gods of war blocking the route, and looked at the charging planetary heavy cannon, his expression unchanged. Are you done talking? He asked. Li Chongshan's face stiffened. Yan Ning sighed, looking somewhat disappointed. I thought you could bring me some pressure and let me warm up, but now it seems I really thought too much. A dignified planetary level, one of the strongest few on Azure Star, yet the pressure the opponent gave him was simply too weak, far too weak. Yan Ning raised his right hand, and 9 silver blades flew silently from his sleeves, slowly rotating in front of him. Only 9. Even 9 was enough to show respect to his opponent. This was just Yan Ning wanting to test if the opponent could bring him some pressure while he controlled his strength. 9. Li Chongshan looked at the 9 blades, his mouth curling into a sneer. You think you can stop me with 9 blades? I have 12 flying knives, each one is. He didn't finish his sentence. Because Yan Ning moved. It wasn't his body that moved, more accurately, it was his psychic power that moved. 4 of the 9 blades suddenly accelerated. They carved 4 invisible arcs in the air, flying towards the 4 gods of war who were blocking the route. 4 flashes of silver light streaked by. The 4 gods of war didn't even have time to react before the blades pierced through their glabella and out the back of their heads. The wind howled. The 4 men fell to the ground simultaneously, blood gushing out, forming 4 small red streams on the ice. From the moment Yan Ning struck until the 4 fell, it took less than a second. Li Chongshan's pupils contracted sharply. How could they not even withstand a single exchange? This bunch of trash. But Li Chongshan had no time to be shocked. Because Yan Ning's remaining 5 blades were already flying towards him. Li Chongshan's psychic power erupted with full force, and his 12 flying knives met them like a rainstorm, attempting to intercept the 5 silver blades. But his flying knives were too slow. In the eyes of ordinary people, the flying knives of a planetary-level spirit reader were as fast as lightning. But in front of Yan Ning's arc blade disc, they were like snails crawling. The arc blade disc was a planetary-level weapon, modified from the legacy of the Yunmo planet lineage. And Li Chongshan's flying knives were merely A9 grade alloy knives that could be bought on Azure Star. The difference in material, the difference in cultivation technique, the difference in the quality of psychic power, an all-around crushing defeat. 4 of the 5 blades easily passed through Li Chongshan's flying knife defense line, simultaneously piercing his limbs, left shoulder, left knee, right knee, cutting all the tendons in his hands and feet. Li Chongshan screamed and knelt on the ice. The flying knives lost the support of his psychic power and fell to the ground with a clatter. The remaining blade hovered in front of Li Chongshan's glabella, less than a centimeter away. The silver light on the blade's edge reflected in his pupils, shining with cold light, and also reflecting the fear of death in Li Chongshan. Li Chongshan's eyes widened as he looked at Yan Ning, full of fear, trembling. How is it possible? Are you also planetary level? Li Chongshan trembled all over. He had been in seclusion for half a year, survived 9 deaths, and finally made a breakthrough to become a planetary-level spirit reader. He thought he was the strongest, thought he could easily crush Yan Ning, thought today was the day to avenge his son. But the reality was, he couldn't even withstand a single move in front of Yan Ning. No. Impossible, Li Chongshan muttered, his voice hoarse and desperate. I made a breakthrough to planetary level. I am the first planetary-level spirit reader on Azure Star. How is it possible? You are the first. Then what am I? Yan Ning's psychic power erupted with a boom. A silver halo several times more powerful than Li Chongshan surged from Yan Ning's body, instantly forcing back the raging snowstorm within 100 meters. The ice layer shattered. The ice crystals in the air also turned into powder under the impact of the psychic power. Planetary-level spirit reader. And he was a dual-class planetary-level martial artist and psyker master. Li Chongshan's eyes widened, his lips trembling, unable to say a single word. He felt unprecedented despair. Dual-class planetary level. Unprecedented on Azure Star. He thought he was unique, thought he was the strongest after his breakthrough. But the reality was that Ning was not only stronger than him, but stronger in every aspect. His martial artist realm crushed him, his psyker master realm crushed him, his equipment crushed him, his cultivation technique crushed him. An all-around crushing defeat. Weren't you going to tear me into 1,000 pieces? Ning looked down at Li Chongshan, who was kneeling on the ice. Come, I'll give you a chance. Li Chongshan's lips trembled, unable to say a single word. Just then, a shrill hum came from the side. Planetary heavy cannon, charging complete. Li Qingyu carried the heavy cannon, which was half a person long, and aimed the muzzle at Ning. The patterns on the barrel all lit up. Incandescent white light condensed at the muzzle, her finger rested on the firing button, her eyes full of madness and despair. Chongshan, go to hell, Li Qingyu screamed and pressed the firing button. A beam of incandescent white light shot out from the muzzle, moving too fast for the naked eye to capture. Where the beam passed, the air ionized, the ice layer evaporated, and the ground was plowed into a deep gully. Ning didn't look back. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine shot out from his collar, weaving into a shield in front of him. The beam bombarded the shield. A deafening roar erupted, green light and white light violently contended, energy overflowed, shattering the surrounding ice layer. 3 seconds later, the beam dissipated. A fist-sized charred mark was left on the shield of the cloud-caressing vine, but the shield remained intact. The vines shook gently, absorbing the residual energy. Then they retracted. The planetary-level second-stage cloud-caressing vine was more than enough to block a heavy cannon that could only kill planetary-level third or fourth-stage beings after energy attenuation. Li Qingyu's hand froze. She looked at the smoking heavy cannon in her hand, then looked at the unscathed Ning, the expression on her face changing from madness to despair, and from despair to blankness. How is it possible? She muttered, this is a planetary heavy cannon, it can kill a planetary level 4th stage, how is it possible? He looked at Li Chongshan, who was kneeling on the ice, and the blade hovering in front of Li Chongshan's glabella vibrated slightly. You killed my son. Li Chongshan's eyes were full of bloodshot veins. Even if I become a ghost, I won't let you off. Ning stared at him fixedly. Your son. Just in the Nanjong ruins, he caused the deaths of 137 martial artists. Pay back their lives first, then come talk to me about revenge. The blade fell. A flash of silver light. Li Chongshan's body stiffened, and the light in his eyes rapidly dissipated. Blood flowed down his nose and dripped onto the ice. Li Qingyu let out a heart-wrenching scream, threw down the heavy cannon, and lunged at Li Chongshan's corpse. Ning watched this scene without any expression. He remembered the 3 martial artists who died in the ruins, remembered the 137 innocent lives killed by Li Fang, and remembered those families shattered because of the Li family. What is owed must always be repaid. The blade passed through Li Qingyu. Ning turned and walked into the wind and snow without looking back. Behind him, Li Qingyu's crying grew more distant and lighter, finally swallowed by the howling wind and snow. On the frozen plateau, the wind and snow continued. 6 corpses lay quietly on the ice, soon covered by the newly fallen snow. The blood froze into dark red ice crystals, looking particularly glaring on the snow. On the distant skyline, the aurora of the North Pole realm flowed in the night sky, beautiful and cold. Chapter 47, The Second Form, Army Breaker, and more Muya Crystal. The wind and snow had not stopped. Ning stepped on the thick ice layer and continued to advance eastward. The bodies of Li Chongshan and Li Qingyu had already been covered by the heavy snow, and the traces left by the 6 people on the frozen plain would soon be completely erased. There were still many Lord-level monster on the frozen plateau. Ning drew his alloy battle saber and slashed one by one. Combining his planetary stage physical body strength with the 9 ink fall blades, killing Lord-level monster was like slicing vegetables. The 7th one, AB class Lord, an ice plane giant wolf. One slash to the throat, sheath the saber, strip the materials, and the cloud-caressing vine fed. The entire process took less than 2 minutes. The 8th one, an A- class Lord, a cold-horned elk. The 9th one, AB class Lord, an ice-armored bear. The 10th one, an A- class Lord, a white-furred violent bear. The 11th one, AB class Lord, an ice crystal python. The 12th one, Yan Ning leapt to dodge, and while in midair, the battle saber in his hand swung out again, slashing towards a polar ice dragon. This slash was different from all the previous ones. The trajectory of the blade was no longer a simple strike, but a more profound arc. The silver halo condensed on the blade turned into a blade radiance, extending half a meter from the tip. 9 Ink Fall Blade's second form, Army Breaker. The saber cutting through water was to sever the momentum. One slash of Army Breaker was to sever the formation. The formations of 1,000 troops and horses, and incomparably sturdy defenses, were like paper in front of this slash. The silver blade radiance slashed down from the top of the polar ice dragon's head, splitting this 50-meter-long giant beast in two from head to tail. Yan Ning sheathed his saber and let out a long breath. The second form, achieved naturally. Perhaps it was because he had just killed Li Chongshan and his wife, resolving some obsession in his heart. Perhaps it was because he had continuously slaughtered over a dozen lords on the frozen plateau, and his saber intent had accumulated to a critical point. Regardless, he had just learned the second form. Not bad luck. The power of each form of the 9 Ink Fall blades was several times that of the previous one. The first form, Breaking Flow, could sever momentum, and the second form, Army Breaker, could break through formation. Having learned the second form, his melee combat ability had at least doubled. The cloud-caressing vine happily pounced on the polar ice dragon's corpse, draining its life essence. He should have gained around 20 to 30 billion by now. Yan Ning was preparing to continue forward, but suddenly stopped his steps. He sensed that something was wrong. The surrounding air had become different. It wasn't a change in temperature. The temperature had always been very low. Rather, it was an indescribable sense of oppression, as if something was watching him from the depths. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine poked their heads out from his collar, shaking excitedly, and transmitted a strong intent. "Master, down there is something good." Yan Ning frowned. The cloud-caressing vine's perception of life energy and rare minerals was far superior to his own. Something that could make it this excited was definitely not ordinary materials. "Lead the way." The vines of the cloud-caressing vine pointed towards a direction deep within the ice layer. Yan Ning walked in that direction and soon discovered a natural ice crevice. The ice crevice extended downwards, bottomless, with cold wind gushing out from the gap, carrying a bone-chilling coldness. Yan Ning did not hesitate and leapt into the ice crevice. Underground. The ice crevice was deeper than he had expected. He climbed down along the ice wall for nearly 2 kilometers, the width of the crevice. Narrowing and widening, and at the narrowest point, he could only squeeze through sideways. The cloud-caressing vine kept leading the way in front, its golden vine markings emitting a faint glow in the darkness, illuminating the path ahead. Reaching 5 kilometers underground, the ice crevice turned into a narrow cave. The 4 walls of the cave were no longer ice, but a kind of dark gray metal. Yan Ning drew his battle saber and slashed hard against the metal wall, leaving only a shallow white mark. "What kind of material is this?" Yan Ning frowned. His battle saber was an A8 grade alloy, yet a full force slash could only leave a mark. The hardness of this metal far exceeded his imagination. Continuing downward, 8 kilometers underground, the cave became narrower, and the patterns on the metal wall became increasingly complex, appearing like naturally formed mineral patterns. The cloud-caressing vine's excitement grew higher and higher, its vines shaking continuously, urging Yan Ning to hurry. 14 kilometers underground. Yan Ning's psychic power finally reached that thing. It was a crystal emitting a beige light. Embedded deep within the metal wall, wrapped in thick metal mineral layers, revealing only an extremely weak energy fluctuation. Muya crystal. Yan Ning's breathing suddenly became rapid. Not just one, there were identical energy fluctuations nearby, a total of 4 Muya crystal. 1 Muya crystal had allowed him to break through from intermediate war god to planetary stage. 4. What realm could he break through to? Planetary stage, second order, third order, or even higher. Moyan, can you sense the exact location? The vines of the cloud-caressing vine pointed to a spot on the metal wall, transmitting a positive signal through intent. Yan Ning took a deep breath, drew the blades of the arc blade disc, and began to dig. But the metal wall was too hard. The blades of the arc blade disc were planetary-level weapons, incomparably sharp, but facing this unknown extreme cold metal, they could only barely cut through. Every small piece of metal cut off required a large amount of psychic power. Ning had to release all the blades of the arc blade disc, and only then did the speed barely increase a little. The cloud-caressing vine also joined the excavation. Its vines could penetrate into the tiny crevices of the metal, cracking the metal wall. As a planetary stage second-order plant life, its strength was terrifying. The pressure generated when its vines stretched was enough to crush special alloys. With the cooperation of the cloud-caressing vine and the arc blade disc, the metal wall finally began to loosen. The first Muya crystal was buried 3 meters deep in the metal wall. It took Ning a full 6 hours to dig it out completely. The moment the Muya crystal was in his hand, a gentle and pure life energy surged into his body from his palm, nourishing his meridians and cells. That feeling was even more wonderful than the first time he consumed it, because his body had already adapted to this energy and the absorption efficiency was higher. 1. Ning put the Muya crystal into the system space and wiped the sweat from his forehead. 3 more. The second one was buried deeper, 5 meters below the metal wall. It took Ning 8 hours to dig it out. During this process, several of the cloud-caressing vines were worn off by the metal wall, but they quickly grew back. The location of the third one was even trickier, embedded in the corner of the metal wall, surrounded by an even harder alloy layer. Ning had to change angles and cut in from the side, taking another full 10 hours. The fourth one. It was also the largest one. Its volume was 1.5 times that of the first 3, its beige light was more intense, and holding it in his palm, he could feel that the energy contained within it far exceeded a normal Muya crystal. Ning laid them out neatly in front of him, watching the 4 crystals shining brilliantly in the darkness, and an unprecedented sense of satisfaction welled up in his heart. This trip was worth it. Just as he was preparing to put away the Muya crystal, he suddenly sensed a strong life fluctuation rapidly approaching from above. Chapter 48, Slaying the King Beast, Abnormal Message. It was a presence he had never felt before, violent, icy, and filled with killing intent. It was incredibly fast. So fast that the moment his psychic power caught it, the opponent had already closed into within less than a kilometer. Ning thought to himself, not good. He was still over 1,000 kilometers away from the pole of the North Pole realm. Under normal circumstances, a king-level monster should not appear here. King-level monsters had extremely strong territorial instincts, each one had its own domain and would not leave easily. But this one, it was digging down from above at an astonishing speed, its target clear, heading straight for this ice cave. Is it because of the aura leaking from the Muya crystal? Ning frowned. The Muya crystal had been sealed by metal walls for who knew how many years, and its energy fluctuations were extremely weak, even his psychic power could only barely sense them. But after the ice cave was broken open, the aura of the Muya crystal had leaked out, and this king beast had caught it. There was no time to think. Ning stored all the Muya crystal into the system space, drew his battle blade, and the 196 blades of the arc blade disc hovered around him. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine clung tightly to his black god suit, making preparations for battle. The ice layer above the ice cave exploded with a boom. A snow-white giant beast leapt down from the ice, slamming heavily onto the bottom of the ice cave, shaking the entire cavern. Its size was larger than any Lord-level monster Ning had ever seen before. It was over 60 meters long, covered in silver-white scales. It looked like a wolf, yet not a wolf, like a tiger, yet not a tiger. On its forehead grew a spiral horn, with light blue electric arcs coiling around it. Its ice blue pupils were vertical, radiating killing intent. A king-level monster. Planetary level, first stage. Its aura was at least twice as strong as an ordinary planetary level first stage, and its entire body radiated a suffocating sense of oppression. Ning's psychic power swept over the giant beast, quickly assessing its strength. Planetary level, first stage peak, approaching the second stage. Ning calculated quickly in his heart, it's unknown how many times stronger it is than Li Chongshan, but in front of the arc blade disc and the cloud-caressing vine, it's not enough. The giant beast spotted Yan Ning and let out a deafening roar. The sound waves echoed in the narrow ice cave, causing the ice layers to shatter and rubble to fall from above. A blinding blue ball of light condensed on its horn. The ball grew larger and brighter, emitting destructive energy fluctuations. Yan Ning did not give it a chance to fire. The 196 blades of the arc blade disc flew out simultaneously, transforming into a silver stream of blades, heading straight for the giant beast's horn. The stream of blades collided with the blue ball of light, producing a deafening explosion. Energy overflowed, riddling the ice cave with holes. The giant beast's horn was struck by the stream of blades, emitting a crisp sound as several cracks appeared on the horn. The giant beast, in pain, swung its head wildly, and its tail swept across. Yan Ning leapt to avoid it, and while in midair, the battle blade in his hand was already unsheathed. 9 Inkfall blades, second move, Army Breaker. A silver blade light extended nearly a meter from the tip of the blade, slashing toward the giant beast's neck. The giant beast felt the threat and shifted its body abruptly, avoiding the fatal blow, but the blade light still struck its shoulder, shattering a large area of scales, and blood gushed out. The giant beast let out a miserable shriek and turned to flee. Although it was a king beast, its intelligence was not low. The human in front of it was too strong, a tough nut to crack. Since it couldn't win, it would run. Damn it, what bad luck. But the ice cave was too narrow. The giant beast's massive body had difficulty turning in the cavern, and it couldn't build up speed at all. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine drilled out from the ground and entangled the giant beast's hind legs. The golden patterns on the vines lit up, and a massive force pulled the giant beast back. The giant beast struggled frantically. It exerted force with its hind legs, snapping a few of the cloud-caressing vines, but more vines coiled up, wrapping around its abdomen, tail, and forelimbs. Yan Ning's stream of blades attacked again. This time, the stream of blades did not attack the horn, but headed straight for the giant beast's eyes. The 196 blades drilled into the giant beast's left eye, wreaking havoc inside its skull. The giant beast's body twitched violently, letting out a shrill scream, and after twitching a few times, it collapsed to the ground. From the start of the battle to the kill, it took less than 30 seconds. Yan Ning sheathed his blade and let out a long breath. A king beast at the planetary level first stage peak is nothing much. Dual planetary stage. Second form of the arc blade disc. Second stage cloud caressing vine. Second move of the 9 Inkfall blades. With this configuration, on the entire Azure Star, no one should be able to match Yan Ning's foundation, not even Hong. The cloud-caressing vine pounced on the giant beast's corpse, greedily absorbing the life essence. The life essence of one planetary-level king beast was more than that of 100 lord-level monsters combined. The golden patterns on the cloud-caressing vines shone blindingly, and its aura was rising rapidly. Planetary stage, second stage peak, only one step away from the third stage. Master, delicious, so delicious. The consciousness of the cloud-caressing vine was filled with satisfaction and joy. Yan Ning squatted down and began to strip the materials. The materials of a king-level monster were far more valuable than those of a lord-level one. The horn was estimated at least 30 billion. The scales were intact and could be used to make several sets of planetary-level armor, estimated at least 50 billion. The crystal core was the size of a fist, flickering with blue electric arcs, estimated at least 80 billion. The heart blood could significantly strengthen one's physique, one portion estimated at 20 billion. The miscellaneous materials such as bones, fangs, and tail stings added up to at least 20 billion. This one, conservatively estimated at 200 billion. 200 billion. Adding the previously harvested lord-level materials, the total income for this trip was already approaching 250 billion. At Yan Ning's level of strength, the things he truly needed could not be bought with money. To him, the Azure currency was just a number. But it was still good to leave for his family. The 4 Muya crystals were enough to earn back his investment. But Yan Ning's joy did not last long. He looked at the large hole in the ice cave created by the giant beast, and a sense of unease suddenly surged in his heart. He was still over 1,000 kilometers away from the pole of the North Pole realm. Logically, there shouldn't be any king-level monsters appearing here. But one had appeared, and its strength far exceeded an ordinary planetary-level first stage. Was it the result of the Muya crystal? Or was it, that the king beast deep in the North Pole realm was much more powerful than everyone had anticipated? What level was that king beast that could force Hong to personally step in and hold it back? Planetary level 3rd stage, 4th stage, or even higher? Yan Ning's brows furrowed tighter and tighter. That Hong I have never met, can he hold on? He dared not be sure. Just as Yan Ning was deep in thought, his communication watch suddenly vibrated, and the first thing that caught his eye was a glaring red warning notification: open black lens bracket retreat on all fronts. Repeat, retreat. On all fronts, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. King Beast riot in the North Pole realm circle. Strength exceeds expectations. All martial artists below war god level must evacuate immediately. Martial artists at war god level and above must cover the retreat. Do not engage in battle. Do not engage in battle. Close black lens bracket. Yan Ning's heart sank abruptly. Qin Mufeng was a powerhouse at the planetary level 5th stage, the existence second only to Hong on the Azure Star. To be able to make him issue a warning of this level meant that the situation had become serious to the point of being uncontrollable. Without hesitation, he immediately packed up the materials and climbed upward along the ice crevice. The vines of the cloud-caressing vine retracted into his collar, sticking quietly to his skin. Chapter 49. Hong retreats. Azure is in danger. Within the North Pole realm circle, the wind and snow howled, and the world was a vast expanse of white. The white giant beast stood tall on the ice sheet, its size a full double that of the king beast Yan Ning had encountered, with a body length exceeding 100 meters. On its head grew 7 curved horns, each wrapped in arcs of lightning of different colors. Its aura was so powerful that even the air was trembling. Qin Mufeng and Hong stood side by side, facing the giant beast. Qin Mufeng's hands trembled slightly. The previous strike had consumed a large amount of his origin energy, and his left arm had been struck by the giant beast's tail, shattering the bones and causing it to hang limp at his side. Hong's injuries were even more severe. His right arm was severed at the shoulder, the stump a bloody mess, and blood had dyed more than half of his body red. His face was as pale as paper. Yet his eyes remained as sharp as knives. Old Qin, retreat. This beast is at least a peak planetary level 5, perhaps even a 6, we cannot beat it. Qin Mufeng gritted his teeth, wanting to say something, but ultimately nodded in agreement to retreat. The two retreated simultaneously, their figures turning into 2 streams of light, flying toward the southern horizon. Fortunately, the white giant beast did not choose to pursue. It stood on the ice sheet, raised its head, and roared toward the sky, the sound waves spreading throughout the entire North Pole realm circle. That roar carried a warning. This is my territory, whoever dares to come again, death without mercy. Qin Mufeng and Hong landed thousands of miles away, both of their faces looking extremely grim. Hong looked down at his severed right arm, remaining silent for a long time before speaking. Old Qin, after we return, convene the highest level meeting immediately. The topic: Azure Star. It might really be changing. That king beast is not something we can deal with. If it heads south, all the base cities combined will not be able to stop it. Qin Mufeng's heart sank to the bottom. Then what do we do? I don't know. The only good news is that the opponent is not very willing to come out. Let's wait, we can only seek answers from time. The wind and snow howled, swallowing the figures of the 2 men. In the distance, the roar of the white giant beast still echoed across the horizon, as if announcing the arrival of a new era. 1 month later, War God Palace headquarters. A meeting of the highest security level was underway. The counselors of the 25 base cities, the core war gods of the War God Palace, the 6 inspectors, and the strongest, Hong, were all gathered here. Although Hong and Qin Mufeng were injured, it was not fundamental. They had only lost limbs, which could be reattached using active agents. It was just that their complexions still looked somewhat weak. The atmosphere of the meeting was oppressive, making it hard for people to breathe. A holographic screen projected the topographic map of the North Pole realm circle, with the blurry image of the white giant beast frozen in the center of the display. Everyone knows the situation, so I will keep it brief. Chin Mufeng marked a red line on the screen, 66 degrees 34 feet north latitude. After careful discussion and assessment, except for the necessary monitoring base stations, Azure has decided to fully retreat to 66 degrees 34 feet north latitude in the North Pole realm. Note, this is not giving up, this is a strategic withdrawal. A low murmur of discussion arose from the audience. Retreating from the North Pole realm. This meant giving up hundreds of millions of square kilometers of land, giving up those defensive lines that were bought with the blood of countless martial artists. In addition, information related to this operation is strictly prohibited from being leaked. No one is allowed to disclose the true situation of the North Pole realm. King Beast to the outside world in any form, violators will be punished with death. No one questioned this. Everyone knew that once the news leaked and triggered social panic, the consequences would be unimaginable. By then, being squeezed from both ends, it would really be troublesome. Finally, further accelerate the promotion of the high genetic potential breeding program. For the war gods present, the task quota will be further increased. The birth subsidies for the public will also be further increased. Each of these measures was preparing for the worst-case scenario. After the formal meeting ended, they entered the discussion phase. The war gods, who had been suppressed throughout the entire meeting, finally asked the question they most wanted to ask. What exactly is that king beast? What are its abilities? How strong is it? Everyone's gaze was fixed on Chin Mufeng and Hong. Hong spoke. The opponent forced old Chin and me back, relying solely on pure physical strength. As for its specific strength, I do not know either. It is a completely new mutated species, unprecedented. As these words fell, the hall fell into silence, where one could hear a pin drop. The two strongest people on Azure combined, and the opponent didn't even use its real methods, winning just by relying on physical strength. What kind of joke is this? Then what about its habits? Will it leave its habitat? Chin Mufeng took over. Based on the situation at the time, it is highly likely that it will not leave its habitat without authorization. King-level monsters have extremely strong territorial awareness. As long as one does not enter its core area, it will not attack proactively. Highly likely. Then what if it doesn't? Indeed, what if it doesn't? If the two strongest people on Azure combined cannot do anything, if that white giant beast heads south, who could stop it? Retreat, retreat, and retreat again. Every inch of this land was taken back from the monsters by countless martial artists with their lives over the past few decades. Now just give it back so easily. What about those martial artists who died? What about the ordinary people living in the north? No one could answer this question. Hong remained silent for a long time. He stood up slowly. His newly reattached right arm was not yet very agile, but he stood straight, like a knife stuck in rock. Do not worry. If the sky falls, I will hold it up. The situation won't be that bad. If those monsters wanted to exterminate us, we humans would have died during the Cataclysm era. Beasts are beasts, they have their own rules. Everyone needs to understand this. Within half a year, after I finish recuperating, I will attempt the SO1 ruins again. Hong's voice was not loud, but every word was like a nail driven into the hearts of everyone present. S01 ruins. The cognition of Azure humans regarding the universe and martial artists all came from these ruins. Humans were able to gain a foothold step by step and survive the Cataclysm era by relying on the knowledge and resources obtained from the SO1 ruins. Hong being able to become the #1 person on Azure was also precisely thanks to this. But the SO1 ruins were also known as a place of absolute death. 100 war gods entered, and the survival rate was less than 1%. Because the survival rate was too low, Azure had already given up systematic exploration. Now, Hong was going to brave it alone. 3 years. If all goes well, when I come out in 3 years, nothing will be difficult. Everyone, please suffer a little for now. During the time I am gone, retreat, just retreat to 66 degrees 34 feet north latitude. Just. Hong said it lightly, but everyone present knew that behind the word, just, lay so much land, so many resources, and so many lives. Lord Hong. Someone stood up, their voice urgent, the SO1 ruins are a place of absolute death. You succeeded the first time, the second time, but the third time, what? If, indeed, what if Hong falls in the SO1 ruins? What will happen to the humans of Azure? Those king beasts, those increasingly strong monsters, that white giant beast, who can stop them? There are no what ifs. This is Azure's decision, and it is also my personal decision. You do not need to worry, since I dare to go, I have confidence. Qin Mufeng eased the atmosphere a bit. There is no use saying more. Since Hong has already decided, we shall execute it. In addition, I want to emphasize one thing. It is strictly forbidden for anyone to build a spaceship without authorization. Once discovered, it will be treated as the crime of betraying humanity, with no tolerance. The hall was quiet for a moment, and then scattered sounds of agreement arose. It was rare for everyone to maintain a tacit understanding, not dwelling too much on this topic. Chapter 50, Birth of a Planetary-Level Bloodline Descendant. The meeting adjourned. The gods of war left one after another, everyone's expression somewhat heavy. Only 3 people remained in the hall. Hong, Qin Mufeng, and Yan Ning. The lights were dim, and on the massive holographic screen, the topographical map of the North Pole realm was still slowly rotating. Hong looked at Yan Ning and said, "Thank you for reaching the planetary level, you have given me the courage to try." Yan Ning was stunned for a moment. He had not expected Hong to say such a thing. What did it have to do with him? I have always wanted to go to the SO1 ruins, but I have never dared to. It is not because I am afraid of death, but because if I die, there will be no one left in Azure who can hold the line. He paused, his gaze landing on Yan Ning, but now there is, you. Hong waved his hand, not letting Yan Ning speak. You do not need to make a scene. Do not disclose your existence for the time being, it is the perfect opportunity to fish out those with impure intentions. Qin Mufeng nodded from the side. In chaotic times, there are always people who want to rely on privileges to take crooked paths. Those who build spaceships privately, hoard resources, or even want to defect, these people must be purged. You are more useful in the shadows than in the light. Yan Ning understood. This was asking him to be a blade hidden in the shadows. I understand. At such a time, our resolve cannot waver, and society cannot fall into chaos. Only by uniting as one can we overcome these difficulties. Hong looked at him, a trace of approval flashing in his eyes. As for spaceships, Yan Ning said, in the vast universe, how can an individual who has lost their civilization's foundation take root again and thrive? Run. Where can one run to? His identity as someone who had undergone transmigration made Yan Ning understand better than anyone else that on the scale of the universe, a wanderer who had lost their civilization was no better than an ant. Rather than fleeing, it is better to defend the land. If it is defended, the root remains. If it cannot be defended, anywhere one runs is a dead end. Yan Ning felt that it was just a mutated king beast. No matter how strong it was, or how fast it grew, could it possibly be faster than him? Unfortunately, he could not tell Qin Mufeng and Hong about his cheat. Not bad. A person who holds up the sky should have a heart that remains unchanged even if Mount Tai collapses before them. You are very good. Cough cough, if you had a cheat, you would also remain unchanged if Mount Tai collapsed before you. Yan Ning was silent for a while, then asked, "Are you really confident?" Hong did not answer immediately. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside the window was the headquarters building of the War God Palace, and further away were the thousands of lights of Kunlun Base City. Those lights flickered in the night, like a brilliant galaxy. Under every light, people were eating, sleeping, and living. Hong watched for a long time. Before the Cataclysm era, I was just a pig butcher. The day the Cataclysm arrived, I was standing behind the meat counter, holding a pig slaughtering knife in my hand. The sky collapsed, the earth cracked, and monsters poured in from all directions. People on the street fell like wheat being harvested. When the mountain-like and sea-like herds of beasts pounced, I didn't have time to think about what monster would eat my head, my hands, or my heart, or in what way. My only thought at that time was, survive. As long as I finish hacking the monsters, I can live. This time is the same. As long as I survive, won't I have survived? These words were a bit inexplicable, but Yan Ning understood. It was not because he was confident that he did it, but because he had to do it, so he did it. If you do it, you have a chance to live. If you don't do it, you don't even have a chance to live. Chin Mufeng patted Yan Ning's shoulder, his voice low. Regarding the Li couple, we will announce that they died in the ice-breaking operation. Their whole family did many bad things in the North Great Wilderness, and Azure can only turn a blind eye. Hong is right. In chaotic times, one must scrape the poison from the bone to survive. After the meeting, Yan Ning walked out of the War God Palace headquarters building. In the distance, the base city was brightly lit, and thousands of households were peaceful. No one knew what had just happened. No one knew that there was a giant beast on the northern ice sheet capable of destroying everything, and no one knew that the two strongest people in Azure had lost their arms. And no one knew that Hong was going to brave that ruin with a 99% mortality rate alone. They only knew that the sun would rise tomorrow, children would still go to school, and work would continue. Yan Ning stood on the steps, looking at those lights, and suddenly felt a heavy weight on his shoulders. Hong was carrying it, Chin Mufeng was carrying it, Zhao Tishan was carrying it, the martial artists who died in battle were carrying it, and the soldiers who fought monsters in the wilderness every day were carrying it. Now, it was his turn. This feeling, was it actually not bad? The news of the defeat in the North Pole realm was locked within the most core circle of Azure's high-level leadership. Ordinary people did not know about the many crises hidden beneath the ice, most were busy struggling for their livelihoods. They only knew that recently, the Federation's child-rearing subsidies had increased again, the benefits for martial artists had increased, and the clearing operations on the outskirts of the base city were more frequent than before. Life just went on like that. Half a year passed. It passed quietly amidst calm and undercurrents. The Azure Federation's policies were implemented quickly. Child-rearing subsidies, a tilt in educational resources, and upgraded benefits for martial artists. After this combination of measures, the birth rate among the public indeed saw a significant rebound. The obstetrics departments of hospitals in major base cities had long queues, and sales of baby products had multiplied several times over. Everything seemed to be moving in a good direction. Except for the occasional self-media who were not afraid of death and tried to force their way into the North Pole realm circle, posting videos for help and causing brief waves, life just went on like that. This day, Counselor Hospital. Congratulations, both mother and child are safe. 6 pounds 8 ounces, very healthy. Qin Shuyu gave birth successfully, which made Yan Ning breathe a sigh of relief. Name him Yan Shu. The Shu, from Cultivate, just like his mother, he will have resilience and perseverance. Yan Ning was holding the baby, but he had not expected the system prompt this time to come so quickly. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations host, detected descendant's genetic potential has broken through the upper limit, obtained draw count ×1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your bloodline has produced a planetary level descendant, obtained golden horned beast embryo close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Milestone, 2 close black lens bracket. Yan Ning's hand shook violently. Golden horned beast. He almost dropped the Yan Shu in his arms, but luckily his reaction was fast, and he caught him. The little guy was shaken and started crying loudly. Yan Ning quickly coaxed him a couple of times, but his mind was filled with the line of golden text on the system panel. Planetary level descendant. Qin Shuyu, under the nourishment of the 10,000-year mutated black root, had already broken through to an advanced war god. Her genetic potential was the highest among his 4 wives, at planetary level tier 1. With the addition of Yan Ning's own genetic talent improvements, it was only natural that Yan Shu broke through the upper limit and reached the planetary level directly. This meant that Yan Shu possessed planetary level genetic potential from birth. As long as he continued to cultivate normally, he would definitely become a planetary level powerhouse before adulthood. Furthermore, more importantly, the golden horned beast embryo. Yan Ning suppressed the emotions in his heart, handed Yan Shu to the medical staff to settle his family, and then said he had a mission and needed to actively prepare for battle.